अस्सलाम वालेकुम एवरीवन। ओके, लेट्स स्टार्ट अवर वेबिनार। तो एवरीवन, हमारे पास जो सा आज का वेबिनार है वो हमारे साथ सर साद हैं। सर साद आपको एक्चुअली बताएंगे कि हमारे पास आप किस तरह कोई भी एक नॉन टेक्निकल पर्सन जो कंप्यूटर साइंस की डोमेन से या कोई इंजीनियरिंग की डोमेन से ताल्लुक नहीं रखता, तो वो अपनी फील्ड को किस तरह टेक फील्ड के अंदर तब्दील कर सकता है। तो सर साद जो है वो हमारे पास कस्टमर सक्सेस मैनेजर है। सर साद का जो है 10+ ईयर का एक्सपीरियंस है, जो कि वर्ल्ड की टॉप 500 1,000 कंपनी के साथ सर काम कर रहे हैं। सर की जो एक्सपर्टीज है वो जनरेटिव एआई, एलएलएम वगैरह के अंदर, और डिफरेंट एलएलएम बेस्ड जितनी भी एप्लीकेशंस हैं उनको इंटीग्रेशन करने के ऊपर सर की एक्सपर्टीज है। सर का जो सा मेन हमारे पास सर है सिलिकॉन वैली यूएसए से ताल्लुक रखते हैं, कैलिफोर्निया के अंदर। तो सर आपको आज बताएंगे किस तरह आप कोई भी अपनी फील्ड को उसके अंदर एआई को यूज करते हुए, या कोई भी एक नॉन टेक्निकल पर्सन किस तरह अपनी फील्ड को टेक्निकल फील्ड के अंदर चेंज कर सकता है। आ, जी सर साद आप हमारे साथ हैं।
हाँ जी, अस्सलाम वालेकुम। थैंक यू। कैन यू सी
वालेकुम
माय
सलाम।
वीडियो?
जी सर, आपकी वीडियो नजर आ रही है।
Perfect. Yeah, let me know if I should start or if
यस सर,
किसी
यू
चीज़
कैन
का वेट
स्टार्ट नो।
करना है।
यस सर, यू कैन स्टार्ट नो, वी आर लाइव नो।
Okay, perfect. Okay, let me share my screen. Just 1 minute. All right. Can you see my screen?
यस सर, योर स्क्रीन इज विजिबल नाउ।
Okay, perfect. Sounds good. Second. Okay, awesome. Yep. जैसे he had mentioned, focus of today is how you can shift from if you've had a career in non-technical roles, how you can start to prepare yourself and the right things to do to be able to kind of start to move towards a technical role. Um, sorry. As you mentioned, Saad Khan, like I've been a customer success manager in the tech field for about 10 years now. And this is somewhat of also my journey also. I uh, did not do computer science in college. I did different engineering, but not computer science or no coding. And for the last 10 years, I've been only in software companies, really focused on, for me, the customer side of the role. So, helping our customers implement our technology, use our technology. If they have issues, resolve those, or also sell more technology to our customers. And so, I have no computer science like background in that sense, but however, I have been able to have amazing experience over the last 10 years in the software in the tech space in California. So I'll kind of go through different strategies or mindsets of how you can start to prepare yourself to make that transition. Of course, I think it'll be somewhat straightforward, so we can probably have a good amount of time for questions at the end as well. Because I think it's straightforward to talk about what you can do, right, to start, preparing to move to a tech role. But I think bigger things maybe, you guys may have certain situations or experiences that you may want to, talk about, and then I feel like this is one of the things where when you hear stories is the most useful, right? Examples of what people have done, things like that. So I think having that second half being focused on people talking, asking questions, hearing stories. If someone has like a good experience or they know something or they've done something, feel free to always speak up at the end as well when we're doing the questions at the end. Because I think learning from experiences is probably the biggest, strongest way of learning how to shift. Because yeah, I'll go through kind of the high level steps, strategies, mindset in the presentation first. Awesome. So I think one of the biggest things when people are thinking of moving from like a non-tech field to a tech field is technical fields feel like it is a lot, right? It feels like you have to learn a lot. Maybe there's people, people go to college for computer science. How can I, meet up or catch up to these people? It's a lot of people get scared or worried about it. And although there is learning involved, of course, you have to always keep learning for your entirety of your life. Interesting. I didn't realize this fact until I was actually looking it up. More than half of the tech people working in tech today, they started in non-technical roles, right? So if you really think about it, more than half of the people who are, coders, developers, creating all these crazy apps, they started in non-technical roles. So that just means if, anyone can do this, right? And it is just a matter of what you need to learn, how you need to position yourself, and the way of creating and proving your skills, right? That is what is really the core piece. The tech industry, as I mean, you guys are a part of learning AI and all this that you probably already know. The tech industry, the job market is constantly growing and evolving. So there's new roles constantly being created that never existed before, right? AI roles in a company that didn't exist 5 years ago. There's like prompt engineering roles for literally companies. They need people who know how to just write really good prompts. That didn't exist 2 years ago, I think. So being educating yourself on how tech and the world honestly is evolving and positioning and learn yourself and learning the right skills that you see. Oh, this something that AI is happening. Like you guys are obviously doing this now. AI is happening. Maybe I think I should create and grow my skills there, because 5 years from today, in the 5 years in the future, the people who do know AI will be much, much better, are well positioned in the job market, in their career, than the people who decided not to, right? And so you guys are doing the perfect thing right now by kind of learning these skills today. May feel like AI, well, AI is so very new, but 5 years in the future, it will be a very core, important part. And so the people learning it today will be the masters in 5 years, right? And then also, with remote working and online learning, it is, won't say easy to learn all these skills and get move into it, the tech space or field, but it is much, much more possible, right? Like you really, if you put the time and the effort, you or anyone can easily do it, right? Like, yeah, it just takes time and it takes effort. But yeah, as I mentioned, you have to learn new skills, and not today only. You have to constantly learn new skills so that you are always on, looking into the future, right? Not looking into the past. You have to prove yourself through projects and your portfolio. So that is and I'll go into this a little bit more later in the slides as well. But projects and portfolios, improving yourself is the probably the most important part when going from a non-tech field or non-tech job to a tech job. Because yes, you may not have a computer science degree, right? Or the tech college degree, and you may have 10 years of amazing experience, but it was non-tech. So how do you show that, one, you have learned stuff, the right skills, two, that you know how to use those skills, and then three, the most important part is what uh, jobs or companies are looking for is, can you prove to them that you will give them value? You will give them results. Like, how do you prove that you will give them results? And that's where portfolios, projects, that's where it really starts to shine. And because you can show someone a certificate and you may have just done a class, but taking a class doesn't prove to a company that you will make that company money, right? Projects, actual maybe features or products that you created, that shows companies that you will make the company money, right? Because the company only cares, will you make me money? Which means, can you create something that is useful? And then the last piece is actually, over the last, especially the last 5, 6, 7 years, over my 10, 12 years of uh, in the workforce, I did not realize, but I started to learn about 5, 6 years ago that networking is very, very important. Sorry. Networking being making relationships, finding connections. I think there's a part where they talk, you know, use how to use LinkedIn correctly, especially, if you're in a different country then and you want to make connections or find out how to, the software companies in America or in Silicon Valley, LinkedIn, online ways of networking is actually very important because the connections and the kind of referrals and just kind of the proof that is created on like proving that you can create value, that you have the skills, is much higher when you have 10 people who have worked with you or you've had conversations with, or maybe you did projects online together, right? Today with online, you can set up a Zoom and create a product with someone who lives across the world, right? And so when you have these people who are willing to stand up and say on your behalf, this guy or this girl is very smart, they know how to work, they know how to create something amazing, whatever, that makes a very big difference, right? If someone is vouching for you, if you have 10 people vouching for you, and uh, and also it's a connection network effect, right? 10 people, those 10 people know 10 people also. So that makes 100 people, right? And now you have this way of connecting with these people and finding opportunities, right? I think the two key pieces is finding opportunities and then being able to prove that you will give value in those opportunities. So the person who's going to be paying you money, or either it's your company or a customer, how do you prove to them also that you will give them value, but then also setting up yourself to be able to find opportunities, right? Which is where networking comes in. If you create a project all by yourself in your room and at home, and you don't interact with anyone, you don't mention it to anyone, you just created something. Well, other than you learning skills, what is the point of doing that if nobody is finding value, nobody is realizing that you created something? The whole purpose of any job is proving that you are able to create and provide value, right? And so that's kind of the key piece of, again, learning new skills, creating projects to prove yourself. That is like your proof or your resume, basically, right? Of that you can give value. And then networking is basically advertising the value that you have created, right? That's basically what networking is, right? You're actually advertising, people are advertising on your behalf that this guy or girl can give value. Does not. One second. I'm not going to the next slide for some reason. There we go. Sorry. Yeah, so I guess I think you guys probably, since you're in this iCloud guru, you probably already know why to move to tech. Right? That's why you're putting your time and energy into it. But just the kind of at a high level, one, obviously, tech jobs in today's world are some of the more higher paying jobs. Um, they even the entry level of tech roles really pay a lot more than even senior positions in like the non-tech space. And sorry, again, and the reason is because in companies and in the workforce, just actually in the world, everything is about how much, sorry, how much value you can give, right? And the amount of value you give is directly connected to how much someone is willing to pay for your product, pay for your service, whatever it is. And so the amount of value that tech creates for pretty much everyone is so high compared, and so obvious. And people have their cell phones and their laptops and they literally TVs and everything is working on tech, right? Um, so the amount of value being created into the world is so high that obviously your salary is connected to that, right? And that's really the other half or side of the coin for the high salary is that it's high value, right? I mean, you can't. That's where the money comes from. Job security, of course, it's as we've kind of you've been probably realizing with AI and all this other stuff going on. The world is quickly evolving. Um, in that AI is going to be taking over a good amount of jobs, and a lot of jobs will no longer be needed. However, it is also going to be creating jobs, right? You will need to have the people who are very skilled with AI, who know how to use AI, who know how to either build with it, use it, apply it, right? There's all these different ways of it being a part of the changing happening in the world. And so learning tech skills, learning AI especially, is going to definitely give you more safety, security in that 5, 10 years from now, you will be able to find a job that you know how to do because you learned the skills today. Global opportunities also. So basically, I like learning these kind of tech and AI skills. You can pretty much, I'd say almost in every country, find a job that will pay you well, that you can live comfortably. The idea is like I mean, I always feel like there's a tech tech and AI is going to become like kind of like how doctors are today. No matter if you did medicine and you're a doctor, you can find a job anywhere in the world because the world needs every part of the world, every city, every little town needs a doctor, right? They need someone to help. And tech, originally tech wasn't like this, right? It'd be like, oh, we have to move to San Francisco or there's only very certain cities in Europe that really have a lot of good tech jobs. It's Things are changing so fast that even small companies are going to need to know how to use AI, right? Like you don't have to be a part of. It's great if you would be a part of Google or Facebook or OpenAI, like join the company. But things are about to change so fast in the next few years that even small, normal, non-tech companies will need tech people working for them, right? Like a non-tech company will need someone who just knows AI so well that it makes that small company even better, right? And especially in these like the non-tech, this is actually a huge explosion of services happening that people are actually creating. A lot of even like high schoolers or teenagers are actually creating these small little companies that basically help set up AI, maybe AI automation or AI tools for non-tech companies, right? Because non-tech companies are realizing that. And so if you know how to set up a AI automation or something like that, and there's a few like little businesses that would pay for it, you could actually start your own small business like that, right? Like you can, because now not all, if a non-tech company is smart enough today, they are realizing that they need some tech, some AI, some automation, something that makes their lives easier. And that just gives you opportunities now across the world, right? It's not just you have to move to San Francisco anymore. You can literally do this from anywhere because of how it's changing. And then diverse career options also. So basically, the part I like about AI is that AI is so general that you could still be a master of something very specific that maybe you are passionate about, or maybe you have skills, or maybe you have connections to, be a part of a certain industry. But the fact that now you can apply AI to it makes it that the amount of options that you have is just so much more than before, right? For example, what's it called? Trying to think, I'd say like not only these technical kind of products, but just like even manufacturing. right? Like the you have a textile plant or whatever it is, or things are evolving so quick that say textile manufacturing, a factory needs to have some AI, into maybe their supply chain, or like their the machinery, or certain sensors going into IoT, and measuring the actual quality of products, whatever it is, right? So like 5, 10 years ago, that was very like a non-technical kind of industry. Even that is now technical, right? So now it's basically, it's not you have to be a coder. You can create value in non-technical and technical industries using your technical skills, right? And that's the key piece that you're learning today. Sorry, one moment. Just need to drink some water. All right, sorry about that. Yeah, so before kind of jumping into how to do things, and I used to think this also, and there's people who always feel like, there's certain things stopping them from, putting the effort, and going through the journey and the evolution into kind of moving into tech. One, I can promise you, you do not need a computer science degree. I mean, if you have one, that's amazing. I mean, like, you know, definitely finish college if you're in college, but um, you know, in today's world, you really do not need a computer science uh degree. What companies really care about more is experience, value. The name, the game is basically, how do you prove that you provide value, or you can create value, right? Like, how do you prove that you'll make a company money? And so a degree just kind of shows like this person learned on paper how to code, right? But if the someone else comes in and they have no computer science degree, but they have a GitHub full of things they created. Interesting things, complex, complicated projects, projects that provide value, that maybe if you were able to sell your something, like an app you made, and you made even a little bit of money, that shows a lot more value than just a degree. Because a degree is, the purpose of a degree is to kind of prove that you can create projects. But what if you already created projects, and that's your degree is your GitHub, right? And so that is really the key part. You don't have to be a coding genius, because this is something that, I mean, for me, I think I'm a great example. I've been in the tech space for over 10 years. I've in software companies, but I have never been a software engineer, right? I realized that a software company, say for example, I think Microsoft has, I'm forgetting, I think 50, 20,000 employees, 50,000 employees, or maybe 100,000. Microsoft has like tens of thousands of employees. Not all of them are coders, right? And that's the interesting part too. I've been on the customer success side, so just taking my example, customer success is basically, once we have made a sale to a customer and got typically you have these in SaaS companies, so they're subscription based. So the key part is, once you've sold to a customer, how do you not only make sure that they are getting enough value that they will continue their subscription every year, but then you build that relationship and understand maybe different parts of their company that they didn't talk about before, to sell more or create more, right? Like um for example, today I work in a company called Liberate. The core product that we have, for example, is voice AI. So for insurance and very specific kind of industries in that sense. So for example, someone calls in, you can buy insurance, make claims, you get your whole meta you go through a medical issue, then you need to talk to your insurance, or you go through a car accident and you talk, and the whole process, now our product does it end to end through AI, right? So before you would have to have a call center and now full of people just waiting for someone to call. Now you just cut all of that cost into just this AI doing the entire conversation with their customers. And so for me, I'm working with our customers. I'm not a coder. I mean, like I try to code in my free time, but my job for the last 10 years, I am not a software developer. Right? I do customer success, sales, expansions, building relationships, and that's just one small piece, right? Then there's marketing, right? Marketing is if you have a good understanding, or if you have non-tech experience in these non-coding roles, that translates, right? So if you've done really good marketing for non-tech companies or non-tech fields or industries, I mean, that means the point of marketing is that you know how to convey value to a human being, right? Or people in general. And so that is the skill that you can directly take into a tech company. If you understand tech well enough that you can use your marketing experience, then you can move to marketing in a tech company. Or if you're an amazing designer, right? Like especially with the AI, changes in how we use technology, UI, UX, user experience, or UI design is actually going to be very important because we're when you create something new, when it's initially created, it's not very often that people immediately make the best version of it, right? Like how to use it. And so if you have some UI or UX design experience, you've made hundreds of web apps or at least the, Figma or whatever, translate that into that is your experience, that is your resume to show into when you try to move to a tech company. Product management, there's like full sales. If you are a great talker and you are able to sell, sales makes probably one of the highest salaries in tech after there's like probably CEO, high level coder, sales. Like this, if you can do sales well, yeah, sales in tech companies, they make a lot of money. And yeah, I mean, obviously, again, sales is the one who brings the money into the company, right? You sell it. So obviously the roles that provide the most value, right? So if you really want to think about, which jobs are going to be making the most money, I mean, it's the ones that give the most value, bring in the most money, right? So it'd be like CEO created the company or whatever, obviously very high. Software developers are creating the product, right? Number two, right there. Sales is actually selling it and bringing money into the company. Three, right? And so those, like if you ever want to figure that out, that's really how you think about it, right? Which one is making the most money? For making the most value and money for the company itself. You don't have to be young or 20 years old. People have transitioned into tech in their 30s, their 40s, their 50s. I mean, the main part is that you are willing to learn, right? I mean, what's the number on the age has nothing to do with it. It's just more of like people say, oh, he'll be willing to learn something completely new. But if you're 50 years old and you're willing to learn something new as much as this 20-year-old, well, then there's literally no difference between 50 years or 20 years or whatever. It's about the commitment, passion, energy, drive, and just time and following through with that. And then math is definitely not mandatory, or I guess more than math in the sense of being very you know s- you had a whole your career or your schooling was all STEM focused, right? Like science, technology, whatever, mathematics. Again, like I think I had mentioned it before, if you have been in the non-tech field for a long time, that is your experience, right? You, like I mentioned, how things are evolving, how AI is going to be just bleeding into and being a part of everything in the world. Well, if you have a lot of experience in a non-tech field and you're learning AI and all this, the stuff through like iCloud Guru, for example, that means you are actually probably one of the best people to integrate AI into your non-tech field, right? If you really think about it, like to understand how do I best integrate AI into XYZ. Well, the person who can give you the best answer is the person who's been doing XYZ for the last 10 years, 5 years, 20 years. And so if you have very deep experience in a non-tech field, well, that actually makes you the best person to integrate or find how do I put AI into this non-tech field, right? And so really think about that if you are thinking about moving from non-tech to tech. Um, the it's hard to find someone who has 20 years of non-tech experience in, say, like you know, manufacturing, textiles, transportation, government, whatever it is, Um, but then they also are so educated on AI, right? Like how it's very rare. And so if you have that deep experience in non-tech, and then you are learning AI and these tech skills, well, then you're the best person with the right kind of experience and mindset on figuring out, how do we put AI into this non-tech industry? There we go. There we go. Okay. And so yeah, I think I think you probably may have noticed that more than me telling you specific steps on how to move to to a non-tech to tech field, I think the main thing is your mindset, right? Yeah, like this mindset shift, right? That you must be willing to learn, right? Consistently learn, right? It doesn't matter how much experience or how old or how young you are, you have to be learning, especially with how things are changing in like I mean, in today's world, they're changing like every 3 months, right? Something new or crazy comes out every 3 months. You have to be willing to just set some your personal time, sit down on a weekend every couple of weeks and learn this new stuff that is happening like almost every month now. Um, and so, like I mentioned, like your previous expertise is valuable, right? And then you learning these like evolving tech makes you kind of the rare person that actually has non-tech expertise, but then also is learning tech, right? And you bring that together, and you can, as things are changing, you're the person who can really make those decisions. Yeah, continuous learning, but then also, you know, uh, especially when you're starting to try to maybe create a project or a product, or you're just applying for tech jobs, right? Like say you were non-tech and now you're applying for tech jobs, be ready to fail a lot, right? I mean, like it's not like this is some, oh, well, I took, iCloud Guru's course, or I took this, or I learned, I made this one project. Oh, look at my GitHub. I should be getting jobs now. No, I mean, the the world is not so easy sometimes, right? And so you be ready to, it could take some time. It could take some failures. It can take some, sometimes you'll just be having to learn, right? The whole point of these are to learn, right? So, if you applied for a job and you didn't get it, think about it as what was different between me and the person who got the job, and then learn those things, right? Figure it out. And then like instead of taking these things as a reason to quit, I mean, take them as lessons, right? Like every time something bad happens or it's a failure or some mistake happens, just imagine that's just another class in college, right? Like you just what I learning from this so that next time you're even 1% better, right? And eventually you fail enough times, you'll become twice as good as you were last year. And so the people who are the best are the ones who fail. I mean, like even a lot of tech founders, right? The people who started companies, I get surprised if you actually ask them like, oh, what was your experience? They actually talk about like, oh, I tried to create like 5 different products or companies and they all failed, right? But this one worked because I learned, why the last 5 failed, right? And so the people who fail fast and learn fast are the ones who get ahead, right? Basically. And then yeah, focusing on problem solving. And yeah, over tools, right? So the key piece being, yeah, the AI and everything is evolving so quick. I mean, like just taking the tools example, GPT-5 came out two two days ago. They came out on Thursday, right? And so now suddenly all the other GPT versions have been decommissioned, and now GPT-5. I mean, it's just going to keep going, right? Like every couple of weeks, there's going to be like Opus 4.1 from Anthropic came out. This came out. That came out. Whatever it is. Point is like, yeah, are you learning the kind of skills and frameworks and strategies that allow you to know how to kind of use and assess and use that whatever tools they're created, right? 5 years from now, I mean, I can't even imagine the type of AI we will have in 5 years. But like, regardless of the tools, it's the people who know, it's they can see what is available right now, and then they can also see what is probably be available in 6 to 12 months, and they are able to problem solve and create solutions, right? And so as tools or whatever technology changes, then it's more about, can you create a solution, solve this problem and in a high value, low cost way. Um, and that kind of level of that type of thinking, that's what really stays with you, right? No matter what happens in the world. Yeah, so now getting a little bit more into specific things on how to kind of move from non-tech to tech. As I mentioned, software companies, especially these big ones, they're huge, right? Like there's software companies with 10,000 people, 20,000 people, even a company who has 1,000 people. Not all 1,000 people in that company are developers, right? Like there's probably only like if they're a company that about 1,000 people, employees, maybe 100 to 300 people are, or I guess, yeah, 100 to 300, I guess, are actually developers, or maybe 300 or so. But then like the other 700, they are sales, they're product managers, they're UX, UI people, there's QA, um, there's tech writers, there's HR, right? I mean, like there's just literally a tech company is not just developers, it's a full company, right? And so the idea is, what are your transferable skills, right? And so the idea is that if you are coming from a non-tech field, well, what is your experience, right? Because most likely, 95% chance that there is a role in a tech company that uses the same skills. The job title probably different. Your job description is probably different, but the skills that you used in your career so far, in your non-tech career, there's probably jobs or job titles in tech companies that use the same skills, right? So really think about the skills that you have, right? And so that could be communication skills, technical documentation, UX, UI is going to become very important, especially if you have design experience. If you're a designer, you're UI designer, or honestly, even if you're like a physical designer, like that means you have a sense of design, right? And so if you can learn how to use, Figma or whatever online, well, maybe you can translate your design experience and skills into a tech design, product management. And it's, again, I will say communication skills wise, if you are good at selling, tech sales is a place where you can make a lot of money, but because also, I mean, we all know, like, how often do you see someone who's very good at tech, but who is also very social and knows how to talk and sell really well, right? Like usually it's one or the other. Either you're really great at networking and talking to people and making connections, or you're the guys are sitting in your room coding all night long by yourself, right? But like if you are both, yeah, tech sales makes a lot of money. Um, if you have customer facing experience, so customer success, you can also do support engineering. There's one of the, I feel like, interesting roles is sales engineering, right? So sales engineering, for example, is, there's, like I just mentioned, right? Tech sales. It's very rare to find someone who is very technical and also can sell really well. So in the tech in tech companies, what actually happens is that sales are actually two people. There's the sales guy who is amazing at talking. He can make connections. He knows how to explain value, knows how to meet everyone in the customer company, whatever. Because he is so good at that one skill of like connections, communication, sales, he usually does not have any tech experience. A lot of times these sales guys actually just know how to talk about tech, but you put a computer in front of them, they'll have no idea what to do. So they have a partner called sales engineer, right? So sales engineer is the technical half of the salesman, right? So basically every time in tech companies, especially like a SaaS sales, when you go to a customer, there's two people going. There's the sales guy who knows how to talk really well, and there's the sales engineer who knows how to use the product, knows how to create demos, create proof of concepts, and basically show that and set up and show that, hey, our product, this is how it works, this is how you get value. Um, and so if you are somewhat good at talking and making, communicating, but then you're also very technically good. Sales engineers, they are also an amazing role, right? Because again, the when you think about jobs, it's about how much value you bring. So sales, the only way a company makes money is when you sell. So sales people are very valuable and they make a lot of money because of that. Um, Organizational skills. So if you have organizational skills like you have managed a lot of projects, right? And so this is something that happens in non-tech fields all the time, right? Like you need project manager, right? You have government roles. There's probably project managers managing government projects, uh, whatever it may be, right? Manufacturing, textiles, even construction, right? Like someone's building a building, right? Like construction, you need a project manager. And so that skill is actually directly transferable, right? So if you learn, as you are right now, learning tech, learning AI, and you have 10 years or 5 years of project management experience, well, there's this role called a technical project manager. Basically, they do project management for tech companies, tech implementations, tech rollouts, product developments, whatever it be. And so there's a full role for that, right? And so like again, someone who did computer science in college and they just came out of college, and then if you versus you have 10 years or 5 years of project management, even in non-tech, and you both apply for a technical project management role, I'm very sure that the person who has 5, 10 years of project management experience, and then they showed that, I learned AI, I do iCloud Guru, whatever, they will get the job compared to somebody who has a computer science degree with no project management. Right. And so that's the key thing. Like, figure out like what have you done in your career? Take away the job titles, think about the skills that you used in your career so far. Um, and then figure out a tech company is a big company with all the different roles, right? Which of those roles uses the skills that I've used in my experience and career? And then, that's kind of how you can start to move into tech, right? And these, like, on this page right now are just a few examples, right? So analytical thinking, if you have ways that you can prove that, uh, business, especially business intelligence, data analytics, trying to think of an example. If you Even if were at a senior position at some non-tech company and you used to figure out projections for the next year, or basically you used to do data analysis for your non-tech company that you work at, well, that means you have data analytics and business intelligence experience, right? And those roles, they exist in tech companies, right? And so now you have whatever experience you have, you're able to bring that to a tech company. So that's the way you should think about yourself. You should also write your resumes with that in mindset, right? That I have this much experience in XYZ, and showing that you will provide value, right? And I think I just kind of talked about this just now as well, but just again, I think uh, this presentation is not very long because it's the same idea, right? It's the mindset, or but then the biggest like I feel way to learn how to shift from non-tech to tech is learning the stories, right? Experiences, stories. What have other people done? What has actually worked? Because I can give you frameworks, right? But then when people actually, move jobs, create, whatever it is, each situation is so different that every time you hear a story, you're like, I didn't realize that you could do that, right? And so again, like the whole point of a few of these slides is to, maybe you look at the slide and you're like, actually, last 5 years or 10 years or whatever your career is, I did actually did some of this stuff that I didn't realize that there's, technical project management in tech companies. I didn't realize that there's graphic design at tech companies. I didn't realize that, there's AI automation. And so if you've been creating some automations for a company or you're doing it today, you can use that experience. Um, yeah, but like the key piece is really think, what skills have you created, or skills have you used, created in your career so far? And then, I mean, ask GPT. To be honest, you just literally tap in the skills and in your experience that you've used throughout your career, and then just ask GPT after you list out your skills and experience, and then ask it, okay, given the skills I just listed that I have, what are the job titles or roles in tech companies that I would be a good fit for? And then you actually will get your answer there, right? Because again, someone who just graduated with a degree versus someone who has 5, 10 years of experience doing something, the person with the experience is a lot more valuable. And then also, I mean, you guys are learning all this AI and especially AI. Like if you have a lot of experience in a non-tech field, well, every non-tech field is going to have some AI, either today, 1 year from now, 5 years from now. Every job, every industry will have AI integrated. So if you have experience in a non-tech field, then maybe you're actually the perfect person to think of how do I put AI into the non-tech field, right? And that's actually, you can create a whole company out of that. Yeah. Again, yeah, like a lot of these will just be examples, right? Because there's only so much you can do, right? Like the idea is you learn the skills, right? And so what you're doing today, right? You're learning from, iCloud Guru, you're doing boot camps, you're doing hackathons, you're learning AI, you're trying to build something with AI, you have experience, developing your GitHub, right? So you're getting basically like that little calendar on GitHub that shows that you committed in something and push something every day. That is basically just proof, part of the proof that companies will see and say, yeah, this person will provide value, this person will make us money, so let's hire this person, right? And so outside of doing all of those necessary things, right? Learning, um, the idea is kind of how, again, yeah, like I mentioned, these will all be kind of different examples, different ways to really reposition yourself, right? So once you've learned the necessary skills, the next part is how do I reposition myself or position myself or, um, you know, showcase, right? It's kind of like how you, uh, evolve or change, like I mentioned, you have the skills, you have your experience, whatever you've done in non-tech field. How do I use that to show that I will give value or I'm good at this in your tech company, right? So whatever it is, technical roles, but then there's semi-technical roles. So product manager. Now, product managers aren't actually coding. They're just prioritizing and deciding, the future of the product, right? What features should we prioritize given our customers and the sales that we can make? Um, but they're not coding, right? They just need to know uh, people, markets, customers, and solutions. Um, I mean, technical recruiters, like the people who reach out on LinkedIn or doing all that they're just good at hiring people, right? Like, but a tech company needs to hire good people, so they have recruiters. And if you're good at that, or you've been doing recruiting in a non-tech industry, you can do this in a tech industry, right? Again, the idea being like just figure out what are the skills and experience you have, and then how do you translate that into jobs that are in a tech company. And again, if you can list out your experience or skills, then you can actually use AI or GPT to ask, what job titles in tech companies could I be a good fit for, given my experience. And I think you guys are kind of already exactly doing this, right? How to really start learning. Um, Definitely picking one kind of focus at a time, because it's hard to, I mean, especially if you're coming from non-tech, be like, let me learn everything all together. I mean, that it's easier to focus on one kind of path, and I think you guys are focusing obviously on AI and generative AI, and actually that is probably the best place to focus right now, because it gives you enables you the most. It's the most primed for the future in terms of how much non-tech companies or industries will start to adopt it. Um, and then also it makes you from 0 to 100 in one day, right? Like you go to GPT, today you just go to GPT-5 and say, create me this app, right? And it'll just make it. And now all of a sudden you created a whole product, right? Like you're a master of that. So the speed that you can really evolve is generative AI. So you guys are doing the right thing. You're probably doing these things already. Like, you know, additional learning you could do in your free time. Coursera, Udemy, EDX, Free Code Camp. I mean, there's a lot of options online. Of course, you're doing these iCloud Guru, these boot camps, the hackathons. Um, and so like I think key piece is definitely, you're obviously building your skills, getting experience, but then also the more options that you do that involve interactions with people, then you're actually also doing networking, right? Just think of all the names you've learned through doing this course that you're doing right now, all the people you met, all the LinkedIn connections that you made. So not only are you making skills, but then you're also making a network of people who believe that you are skilled, right? And that makes a big difference, right? When someone gives you a recommendation, if I were to say, hey, this guy, he's really smart, he has created amazing things, you would believe in that person more than if he just handed you a paper resume, right? And you just looked at the paper resume. It makes a difference. Um, I think definitely this piece here, I know it says practice real problems, but I mean, key part is like whenever you put your time into something and create something, really think about what is what is the value of what I'm doing, right? To someone else, or the customer that you have in mind, or your target user, right? Because for example, with GitHub, right? You have two people. They have their two different GitHubs. They both, for the last 1 year, have both have committed something on GitHub every day, right? So they're basically almost the same. Except one person actually created something that people find valuable and they are using every day, right? Like so this guy created an app that even 10 people are using, right? Only 10 people, but you can prove that, look, it's on the App Store, I have sales. And then the other person, he created 10 apps, but nobody is using them, right? The idea is like, what is the value that you're providing, right? And you know, the only reason a company will give you salary is if you make them more money than they pay you, right? I mean, this is basically how the world in general works, right? Is um, you know, the only reason a company would give you a salary is if you make the company more money than your salary. And so that's kind of the idea, right? It's like, how do I prove through my GitHub, through my learning, through my projects, through my portfolio, through everything that I will make them money or I will provide value. And again, any role. You don't have to be a developer. You could be sales. You could be tech support. You could be a recruiter. You could all the different roles that are in a company. Um, but yeah, how do you prove that, right? And that's the key piece. So that will come from your resume, your GitHub, your LinkedIn. And LinkedIn, I say it LinkedIn is basically a mix of resume and networking, right? So use your LinkedIn, make connections, find people who will maybe work at companies and they put referrals, they vouch for you, they make introductions, whatever. Um, and through whatever way that you can prove that you will give value. Oh, sorry. There we go. Yeah, and so just going into kind of really building value and proving value, right? So yeah, I think you guys are probably kind of doing this through the course and through your boot camps, creating your projects, right? So especially at the start when learning, create small practical projects, and the practical part being something that people could use or that would seem useful, right? Like you could create one, of course, like you create a personal website that's a portfolio where you start to list all the future projects you do. But things like automation scripts, right? Like I think I mentioned earlier, there's teenagers, like people who are 18, 17 years old who are using N8N. I don't know if you guys, so N8N, make.com. These are automations. So, they're with AI. So it does like 5, 10, 100 actions all to get automated through using AI. And so they make this for non-tech companies and then they sell it to them. And they make like every time they sell it, it's like one, two, $3,000. But then once you made like the first two or three or five, I mean, then everyone is doing something similar. So then they're just copy pasting and selling to new people. And they're just, they're 17, 18 years old. That's the thing. It's just small, practical, valuable, right? Valuable projects. So, data dashboard, right? If there's you know, a way that you realize that not a good way to see a certain type of data, for example, um, financial data, like you have bank accounts and credit card and you have your uh, rent payments or more like how does someone look at all that, right? So that's actually something where some amazing AI products have come out where it's just basically AI dashboard for your bank accounts and finance. Sorry. Or whatever you think, like really start to think like what is going to create value. Once you've created something, showcase them online. And then that's why I say small, practical. So like I think a better way to put this would be small, valuable, right? Projects. Because also, don't spend the next 8 months doing one thing when you could have created eight things every month, like once a month for 8 months. Like it's better to have created eight different things that are useful. They're small, but they're easy. But they it's like has some good quality or it's valuable if someone's using it. Um, Better to have more eight of them instead of just one big project that you created. Because the idea is this last one right here, right? Like you're trying to solve real problems. So each time you create a project or an app, each one is solving a problem, right? So if you create eight or five different apps, even if I'm not talking about companies, just small apps, that means you solved five problems, right? Versus if you create one big app, you still just you solved one problem, right? So the person who solves problems is the person who creates value, who proves that they are, useful, valuable, and that's kind of how you show to tech companies that that you're ready to join tech. Yeah, so networking is actually very big, like I mentioned, because once you did all of everything we talked about, how do you prove to people that you are better than everyone else, right? Is different if like a just that small example of if you will need to prove that you are better than everyone else. It's very different if I say I am better than everyone versus you know someone who works at the company that you want to join, they say, "Hey, he is better than everyone else," right? It makes a huge difference, right? So in terms of referrals, in terms of making connections, in terms of also if you want to start your own company and you're starting to, want to create your own thing, finding the best, partner, partners, co-founders, right? Like this is all, networking. So even if you just want to join a company as a worker, or you want to create your own company, networking will always be very important. So attending events, both online and offline, um, I realized that, and I think Talha and people, different people about the leaders of iCloud Guru and all probably know much better, but like in terms of events in Pakistan, because online events are great, but like I'm talking to you through Zoom, but also like in person is very different where you all are meeting, talking about the same thing. The level of connections that you build are actually very different when you go to in-person events. So I definitely recommend, especially if you're in university or you're in this big city, right, like Lahore, Karachi, Islamabad, wherever. Um, if there are events, definitely attend them because the more you talk to people, you learn their ideas, you learn about them, you make friends, you help each other out, you make connections. Um, Definitely makes a very big difference. And then also there's amazing things that I've seen done in different places. If in your city or if you notice that there is no good events, why don't you start one, right? Like literally with the internet. You have Instagram, you have Facebook, you have LinkedIn, you have the entire internet. You could start your own networking event, right? Like it'd be like, non-tech to tech meetup, tech, coders of Pakistan meetup, whatever, like, whatever kind of you thinking. But if there is nothing good, you could organize it yourself and just throw it out there. Week one, you might have two people show up, but those two people, if you guys actually talk and make good connections, well, week two, you'll have five people. Week three, you'll end up people will start coming because it's valuable, right? Like people want to meet, want to network, want to make connections, and then you could also put that on your resume, right? Like I started coders in Pakistan meetup group, like or networking, whatever you want to call that company. But at that point, that's actually a way of making a company, right? So you start your own meetups, provide value. You can have people speak, give presentations, whatever it is. Join communities, so LinkedIn groups. Discord is like an amazing place of kind of just people making stuff, right? Like you'll find on Discord, like the 16-year-old people like creating those genius 16-year-olds, but then also like really like expert level CEOs who are really old. Like everyone's on there, but like you find the right servers, people are willing to be open. It's basically kind of like a chat board or group. Kind of like a WhatsApp, but each server is its own, you know, server, or like WhatsApp in the sense of like you have, a full focus. So um yeah, definitely recommend, like if you're able to find the right servers, you'll find some interesting and very valuable people on there. So you and then you Slack, what's it called? Facebook, WhatsApp, whatever maybe. Just like the more communities you're in gives you more, exposure, more connections. Um, and then this last one here, I mean this is the whole point of the first two, right? Is so that now you have met all these very interesting people, smart people, experienced people, people who maybe have done what you want to do, maybe people who are, failed at what you are trying to do. Maybe they didn't work out for them. everyone is someone you can learn from, right? So the whole point of making all these connections is so that actually you can talk to them, right? And that's why I say like doing in-person, meetups, networking events is very big because now when you talk to someone, you learn from them, right? And so, and the more people you get connected to, you will eventually find someone who did exactly what you are trying to do, but maybe they did it 2 years ago, right? Um, and so that's your opportunity to learn from them. But like, how do you meet them? You have to, keep putting yourself in those situations. All right, I think yeah, just a few more slides, and then we can kind of get to the questions. But yeah, so other part is definitely creating a strong resume. Um, if you're going from a non-tech role to a tech role, well, then the key part, I think, like I've mentioned before, was identifying or like find out what skills you used in your non-tech career that are needed in the tech job you're applying for, and create your resume and focus on showing or explaining that, right? And so, and again, these things, um, GPT and Claude, right? I mean, basically AI, but like GPT and Claude, they are amazing at doing this for you. So, um, don't let GPT write the full resume automatically because obviously it starts to hallucinate, right? It tries to make you perfect for the job, then it'll start lying a little bit. But the point is, if you use it to ask it very specifically, these are skills I have. Here's the job description I'm applying for. How do I position myself to be the best candidate for this job, right? And then you get an idea of like, oh, you managed very, very big projects in your government or construction or whatever. You did a lot of project management. Well, write about your project management, like how many people you manage, how the level of what's it called, impact or effort that it took, maybe some project frameworks that you used, right? Whatever it is, right? Like there's ways to position like your experience in the way to show that, hey, I managed this very long 5-year crazy project, or I managed, I whatever. Therefore, I can manage your technical project manager. Like it's like, right? And so really, and GPT and Claude, I think Claude is actually very good at writing. Um, will really kind of show you how to, position and showcase your experience in the right way for these roles. Showcase relevant projects. So definitely, I mean, definitely your resume should, I think you already know, like have your link to your portfolio, link to your GitHub, right? Like the point of the resume is to prove to the company, hey, is this guy good enough, right? Like, is this guy will this guy make me more money than I will pay his salary, right? That's the whole point, right? And so, GitHub portfolio shows, hey, this person did, this project, they did XYZ, whatever it is. Um, yeah. Again, the whole point is to prove yourself. Keywords. So actually, this is probably one of the more important things I learned as I was going through. Um, I mean, I think every company today uses what's called applicant tracking systems, ATS. ATS is basically the software or tool they use. I mean, that to scan thousands of resumes. So, for a job, there's like hundreds or thousands of people who will apply and send their resume. Obviously, I actually looked up the metric. So people, when you're applying for jobs, people are sending thousand resumes to this one job. In general, only 75%. No, sorry, 75% of resumes there. That's what I remember. 75% of resumes are never seen by human eyes. So that means out of everyone applying, only 25% of resumes are actually in front of a human being, right? Everything else just gets filtered by some AI. AI is like, no, 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 not good enough. And how is that a tool or AI or this ATS? tracking system deciding between the 75% who go in the trash can and the 25% that the person sees. Honest, today I think AI will change this in a year or two, but today it's keywords. So the whole point is it's basically tailoring your resume for each job actually makes a very big difference. And so what I mean tailoring resume is you have your main resume, right? And then for it takes some time. So but for each job, you read the job description, and I've used AI for this. You give the job description to GPT, and you say, I don't know if you guys probably learned some prompt engineering. So like the giving GPT or AI the role or like the role that it's supposed to play. You say to GPT, "Hey, you are a applicant tracking system." You give it the job description and you just give like right, you paste it in or whatever, and you say, "As the applicant tracking system, identify the keywords from the job description that you would be filtering for." And now you have a list of keywords, and just make sure you use all or almost all of them in your resume, right? So maybe they say things a little different, right? um and or like they use a different type of word or whatever it is. So take your resume and change maybe the certain word to whatever they have, right? um Instead of I'm trying to think of an example. There's so many examples. Maybe they're very focused on JavaScript, and you're like, you forgot to put that on your resume because it's already so long, right? But the job description says Python or JavaScript or whatever. I'm assuming Python's already on your resume, but something that you wouldn't think of, but you have done, you have experience. Well, then maybe I need to remove one skill and put this new skill, right? Like you have to change your resume for every job application. And that's one way to do it is you tell GPT, you are an applicant tracking system. From this job description, tell me what keywords you would filter for. And then you make sure to use those keywords because otherwise, honestly, 75% of resumes are never seen by humans. It's just, you know, thrown into the dustbin by AI. And then yeah, keep it concise. I mean, like keep it one page unless you have a lot of experience. If you have a lot of experience, then definitely, you can make it over one page. But if you don't, really look into how to really concisely and directly explain the value that you're going to bring, right? Because it um, point of a resume is to prove that you will bring value to the company, but also like if it's long, people are just get lazy to read, right? And so if it's too long, people will start to forget or like just like kind of get distracted on the value that you're providing. So the idea is like you just want to easily directly show like, I will give you this value. Like I've done this in the past. This is what I did. And again, you can use AI for a kind of, that kind of formatting, length, tone, whatever it is. Um, but the key part again, yeah, is really proving that you are in your non-tech field, you used certain skills, right, in your non-tech experience or field that created results value that again leveraging the keywords from the job description. And I think yeah, I'll explain this a little bit more, but yeah, skills that you used in your non-tech field using keywords from the job description to show that you have done this in the past, right? And that's kind of how the applicant tracking or AI, hiring AI, will be able to realize this person should go to the next round, right? I think the two key pieces are the skills that you've done and then using keywords, right? From the job description that you're applying for, so that they can see you've done this, you can do this job now. Yeah, so I mean, preparing for interview, that I mean that could be a whole 2 hour 2 hour course or conversation about interviews. Um, but just at a high level, and we can always, if you guys are interested, we could do a webinar on interviews later, at in the future. But there's kind of three key pieces, right? There's behavioral questions. Behavioral means um, they want to hear experience that you've done in the past, right? And this is perfect, right? So behavioral questions are perfect if you are moving from non-tech to tech, because it would be it's because they're not behavioral questions usually are not technical. They can involve you doing technical, but the point is, like, for example, this is a common behavioral question. Tell me about a time you solved a problem with limited resources. I mean, like, if you have non-tech experience, you probably did something like this, right? Or tell me about a time when something broke and you had to fix it really fast. Tell me about a time when your customer was very, very, very angry, and how did you make them not angry? Right? These are all things you have done probably in your non-technical field. Um, and so that's where your experience comes. So if you can really show that, hey, I am amazing at this, um, then that shows that you are probably the best person for the job. Then there's definitely, if you are actually going into software development or code, like, software role, or like the actual people who are actually coding, or maybe sometimes tech support, but tech support kind of as well. But definitely, if you're moving into a coding role, there will be technical interviews or technical assessments. So that'll be like skill tests, coding challenges, case studies. Um, but if you are, unless you are applying for a very technical job like coder or developer, um, usually there's not many technical assessments, or like QA. QA will have a QA technical assessment, like quality assurance, or tech support sometimes has like a small technical assessment, or like it's where it just like, does this guy know how to troubleshoot, right? Like they may ask you something. So if you're doing tech support job, like they may ask you like, the internet on my phone isn't working. How would you troubleshoot and figure out why it's not working? Right. So it's not like very hard, but it's like, how does this guy think about fixing problems, right? Because tech support. Um, and then case studies also so for example, if you are moving interested in, sales, for example, for me, like customer success in tech companies, one of my interviews is always a case study presentation. They give me a prompt, or like a situation, like on in a Google Doc, and they say, assume this customer is very having very big issues, and they're threatening to cancel the contract, whatever. They gave me some situation, and then they want me to come and act like the interview is the angry customer, and I have to present or fix the problem, right? So like now I'm doing like a yeah, case study, a presentation, mock presentation, right? Like basically acting, right? Like the situation is real. So for roles like sales, customer success, sales engineering, probably product management also, right? Because they need to see how your mind works. Um, so like instead of coding challenges, they will give you situation challenges, right? And then they'll be like, act like this is actually happening. So, and if you're good at that, or you have experience, right? If you have experience selling, or you had your non-tech, company, and you sold a lot of, good big contracts, that is what they want to hear, right? Or you did tech support, or you did whatever, those jobs exist in tech companies also. Um, yeah, like exactly what I mentioned, right? Like if you have done certain things, those jobs probably exist in tech roles. Cool. Yeah, I think just two more slides, and then we can get to questions. Yeah, but yeah, as I mentioned, like the journey from going from non-tech to tech is obviously requires a lot of work, right? Like you guys are probably, learning all these new skills, learning how to code, learning, and then you have to create resumes and you have to create portfolios. You have to do your GitHub. You have to make your LinkedIn. Like it's just it is a lot of work, right? So, but just remember, like, sorry, um, I mean, everyone is going through that journey, right? Like that, for example, like even uh, big engineers who are like working for, as a developer engineer for 10 years. I mean, they still need to Google things, right? Like it's not like you and them are so different, right? It's just that they had like a small head start. They started a little early, but you can catch up, right? Like the idea is these skill gaps. Because I mean, I feel this sometimes too. Like I hear like, wow, man, this guy just created this crazy, amazing app, and he only started learning AI 6 months ago. How did he make this app? And I just, you start to think like, oh, these people are just so much smarter. But it's not about that they are smarter. I think it is really about consistent, committed action, right? You continually you do something every day, you do something every day, so that even when you fail, you learn from that. Again, like the people who are like big founders of companies, they failed at making like 5 companies before they created their one big company. And so you just have to keep trying, keep learning, and exit like especially these rejections, treat it as feedback, right? Don't, when you get denied or rejected, don't think about it like that. Think about it as feedback. Like, oh, and then some people don't ask, but if you say you do not get a job, well, you already did not get the job. So you might as well ask them why, right? Like, tell me what I was, why, am I lacking skills? Did my interview not go well? Like, at that point, you might as well just use that as much learning as you can, right? And sometimes they don't tell you why they didn't, they rejected you, but like sometimes they do, right? And you use that to get better. Um, yeah, so kind of just 3 month way that you can really get kicked off. And I think you guys are already in month 2, I guess, right? Like, because you guys are actually, and that's the amazing part about what you guys are doing, is that you guys are actually making the effort, and but then also like smartly making the effort where like you have done this month one, right? You learned the basics, picking your specialization, right? And specialization also is kind of the idea of um, not only like tech specialization, right? But like again, like if you have really strong non-tech experience, that is also a part of a specialization where, well, if you really have that strong experience, then maybe again, like I keep saying this, maybe you're the person who needs to put AI into that non-tech industry, company, whatever. Um, because eventually 5 years from now somebody is going to everything will start using AI in tech, and so somebody is going to be the person who puts AI into non-tech, manufacturer, business, government, whatever it is. So if you have that experience, yeah, well, it could be you who does that. um yeah, but I think you guys are already in this month too, which is amazing. Like creating projects, updating your LinkedIn resumes, learning, and then yeah, once you kind of get to that, your GitHub has some projects on it, your LinkedIn has some projects on it. Start, practicing for interviews, attending, applying for jobs. But again, I think, and as you do apply for jobs and practice for interviews, I think, honestly, the biggest way, especially if you're going from non-tech to tech, is networking events, right? Like if you meet the right person who has the right influence in a company or whatever, and you prove to them that like basically when you meet someone and you make them feel like I need this guy on my team, right? Like eh, that person will get you hired directly, right? Like you could skip the whole worrying and all that stuff. You still have to interview, obviously, but like it basically means like this person already knows they want you. And how does that happen? Is networking. Networking meaning you keep meeting new people, but then every time you meet someone, you show the value that you will bring, right? Like what, you know, um, they need to feel like this guy is great at what you do, right? So whatever your experience, whatever your non-tech, whatever it is, you want to make sure people feel like this person, I want this person on my team, right? And that's honestly probably it is the best way, right? Like of finding the best jobs, opportunities. Um, because I mean, networking, I mean, that's basically what the interview is for, right? Like interviews to show, do we want this person? But if you meet someone and they already are like, I want this person, then you basically have, did that, succeeded there. But yeah, I think I mentioned a lot of this already. But yeah, always continuously learn and upskill, especially today, like every 1, 2 months, something new is coming out or some crazy thing, MCPs, Claude Code, all like just crazy tools, crazy technology is coming out every month. So the people who are willing to spend time to learn it constantly, spend every week or 1 day a week to learn the new stuff that came out the last week, they will be the ones who are ahead of everyone else. Certifications, definitely. So if you have non-tech experience and then you notice that your skills in the non-tech can be used for a certain tech job, right? The skills are the same, but the only difference is you need a little bit of technical knowledge. Well, if you get a certification, the right certification in that whatever tech, that certification put on top of your skills from your non-tech field will now make you perfect for the tech job, right? I hope that made sense because that definitely is very key. Is you have amazing experience with skills and you're applying for a job, a tech job with the same skills. So if you get a certification on certain tech, now you are the perfect person for that job. Um, and then, yeah, I mean, I think mentoring newcomers once you start to really understand, it basically, again, goes into networking, right? Uh, you know, every time you talk to someone, engage with someone, help someone, you know, uh, you're creating connections, which maybe will help your life in the future, whether it be finding a good job or finding a new partner to start a company, whatever it is. Like the more people you help and meet, the better. And again, help it means you give value, right? Like, and that's why people only want to. I think the biggest thing of being hired. I think the biggest thing of being hired is how do you prove that you will give enough value and make that company or whoever more money than they will pay you, right? Like otherwise, why do people hire people if they lose money, right? So, and that is projects, experience with your skills in your non-tech field, but like projects with the tech, so that kind of the bridge, you bridged your skills in non-tech with some tech proof. So the certification, projects, GitHub, whatever, and you bring those together, and then that's really how you prove that you are valuable, right? So that's kind of high level, but yeah, I think we have about 30 minutes, so like we can go through questions or someone wants to give a good, story or experience, because again, these are mindsets and frameworks. The biggest thing is what have people done, right? Stories, understanding. So yeah, I'll open it for questions.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. We do have some question.
Okay. मोहम्मद साजिद अपना क्वेश्चन कर सकते हैं.
ओए, sorry. हाँ जी,
अस्सलाम सर.
वालेकुम सलाम.
वालेकुम अस्सलाम.
सर मुझे एमएल का जोनसना एक्सपीरियंस है और जोनसना अब मैंने कैब जोनसना वो किए स्टार्ट किए. तो मेरा जो बैकग्राउंड है वो सर इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियरिंग है मेन.
हम्म,
तो इस हवाले से आप जोनसना वो कर दें, गाइड कर दें, क्योंकि मैं टेक की तरफ जोनसना मूव कर रहा हूँ और एआई का भी मुझे काफ़ी एक्सपीरियंस है और मैं चैटबॉट भी तैयार कर रहा हूँ. और इस हवाले से थोड़ा सा गाइड कर दें कि क्योंकि क्योंकि हार्डवेयर पे काम नहीं कर रहा एज इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियर.
हम्म.
तो क्योंकि मेरा जो सारा वर्क है वो यानी कि इनके ऊपर है, सॉफ्टवेयर के ऊपर. तो इस हवाले से थोड़ा सा मुझे गाइड कर दे कि मुझे.
Hi, yeah, definitely. Funny. College, I also did electrical engineering. But after college, I've never done electrical engineering afterward. And so again जो आपके वही कह रहे हो जो skills है जो I don't know आपकी experience जो भी है, figure out what skills or you know that match with your experience that go into whatever tech job that you're thinking of. But it sounds like you maybe creating your own chatbot or app. Um, so that, I mean, if you're creating your own, that's like probably the most doesn't matter what skills you did in the past, right? Because now you're making something new. So like when you create something, but if you were looking for a job in a tech company, then I would say figure out what skills that you have, and then either look online, use GPT to figure out how jobs or what positions use the same skills, and then you have your the chatbot you're making or whatever that will show that you also know AI, right? So it's like your skills plus the new AI knowledge that you learn, and then you can use that moving forward. But yeah, I think the more proof, right? Like you just want to make the amount of proof you have as big as possible.
ओके सर, थैंक यू।
ओके नेक्स्ट मैम आपने अपना क्वेश्चन कर सकते
अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर, मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि मैंने इंटरमीडिएट लास्ट ईयर कंप्लीट किया था, तो बीएस मैथ्स में एडमिशन ले लिया यूईटी में। तो इतना आइडिया नहीं था कि कंप्यूटर की तरफ, तब मैंने प्री इंजीनियरिंग किया था। तो ये है कि अब मैं सोच रही हूँ कि साथ ये मतलब कि यूईटी में बीएस मैथ्स भी रखूँ और साथ में कोई कंप्यूटर साइंस की डिग्री कर लूँ, मतलब के साथ यहाँ की वर्चुअल यूनिवर्सिटी पाकिस्तान में है। लेकिन एक और ऑप्शन भी देखी है, ये जो यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ लंदन है ये भी बीएस करवा रही है, और वो ये है कि बिल्कुल ऑनलाइन करवा रही है कि आपको इधर ही बैठ के मतलब कि डिग्री यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ लंदन की दी जाएगी, और ऑनलाइन आपको मॉड्यूल वगैरह मतलब कि हर साल तीन तीन ईयर्स की डिग्री होगी और आपको वो क्लियर करने होंगे, तो फिर आपको मिल जाएगी। ये ठीक रहेगा?
नहीं, definitely I think and I guess maybe कोई आर्ट ग्रुप में ज्यादा एक्सपीरियंस वगैरह कॉलेजेस वगैरह में, मेरे माइंड में हाँ यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ लंदन का प्रॉब्ली ज्यादा अच्छा होगा बिकॉज आपकी ऑलरेडी पाकिस्तान की एक्सपीरियंस स्कूल की एक्सपीरियंस है, बट देन ऑल्सो अब आपकी यूके लंदन की भी अब आपके रेज्यूमे में आ जाएगी, राइट? सो जितना आप डिफरेंट एक्सपीरियंस ज़्यादा नॉन एक्सपीरियंस गैदर कर सकते हो बेहतर होगा। सो फॉर एग्जांपल अगर आप कोई कंपनी में अप्लाई करो यूरोप में, एंड वो
जी
देखेगा यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ लंदन वर्सेस
जी
पाकिस्तान में कोई यूनिवर्सिटी, दे उनके दिमाग में उनको लंदन के बारे में पता है, राइट? जितना ट्रस्ट बनता है, राइट? लाइक दे वो उनको पता है यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ लंदन। हो सकता है उन लोगों ने उनकी कंपनी में 2-3 लोग हैं जो यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ लंदन गए थे, बहुत अच्छे हैं, सो देन सोचेगा फिर आई मीन ऑब्वियसली आप भी इतनी अच्छी होगी बिकॉज यू आल्सो वेंट टू द सेम स्कूल, राइट? सो जितना ट्रस्ट बना सकते हो, आई वुड से या डेफिनेटली यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ लंदन, स्पेशली अगर आप पाकिस्तान में बैठ के कर सकते हो ऑनलाइन, दैट्स अमेजिंग।
ठीक है, ठीक है, फिर ये बेस्ट रहेगा।
या
ओके
आपके दोनों ऑप्शंस में से अगर दोनों ऑनलाइन है एंड
जी,
या देन
ऑनलाइन है
यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ लंदन probably गिव यू मोर
जी।
एक्सपोजर।
ओके ठीक है, थैंक यू सो मच।
ना जी,
ओके सर अब अपना क्वेश्चन कर सकते हैं।
Assalamu alaikum, sir. I
वालेकुम
have been
अस्सलाम।
associate, I have been associated with the banking industry in Pakistan for the last 15 years.
ना
I
जी,
have been working in the credit department of one of the banks in Pakistan, and it's mainly my job is mainly concerned with the credit documentation of the customers, and we ensure that the documents are perfect. Then we allow them the loans or financing. So I would like to ask you, would it be better for me to go for some kind of a certification, or, for example, if I pursue a Masters of Science in FinTech, because it is one of the upcoming careers? What do you suggest
yeah,
for me?
yeah, no, definitely I think I mean आपने अभी भी एक एस्पेक्ट आपने अभी मेंशन जो किया, I was just thinking जो आपकी जॉब जो है, you have to make sure all सब documents is perfect for
जी जी जी,
लोगों के,
क्रेडिट,
I mean that
हाँ, क्रेडिट
yeah, so
क्रेडिट
definitely no that
डॉक्यूमेंटेशन की
mhm,
उसको इंश्योर करते हैं कि डॉक्यूमेंट्स परफेक्ट हों फॉर द डिसबर्समेंट ऑफ लोन. सो इट्स अ
got it,
बैक
makes
ऑफिस
sense,
जॉब बेसिकली.
got it. No, that I was gonna say that sounds like a perfect product that you can use AI to automate, and AI does it for you, right? Like you have so much experience in that that job that you said like 10 years, 15 years, yeah,
Right.
but so it sounds like you would be the perfect person to make the AI that takes over that job, right? Like basically AI, I mean, if you making documents perfect in any
Mm.
industry is something that is AI can do very, very good. And so if Pakistan doesn't have that yet, just an idea that maybe you're the best person to create that, right? But then on the job ka original question,
जी.
yeah, no, definitely up fintech में obviously you have very good experience, especially यहाँ यूएस में भी फिनटेक में बहुत मुश्किल से आपको लोग मिलते हैं जो दोनों good coders and good tech वाले होते हैं and उनके पास finance experience होता है, right? Like usually एक
Right.
either वहाँ होता है, right? Like so if you learn the right tech skills and then again you कोई project बनाया ये वो that shows that you understand how to use tech finance with, then it's very rare to find someone who has 15 years of finance experience, but then they also know how to make AI, right? So yeah, no, I'd say learn the
तो
skills like
एमएस
you are जैसे कर रहे हो अभी, but then also maybe आप
जी
जितना आपका experience है finance में start thinking like मैं अब ये AI जो मैं सीख रहा हूँ मैं finance में कहाँ कहाँ इस्तेमाल कर सकता हूँ, and I think आपका जो main job अभी है sounds like a great place to start using AI.
तो एमएस फिनटेक अगर मैं करता हूँ इसके लिए ऑप्ट करता हूँ इन सम यूएस की यूनिवर्सिटी में सो वुड दैट बी अ वेरी गुड ऑप्शन और शुड आई
Oh,
गो फॉर
masters
सर्टिफिकेशन
mhm. Yeah, no, I would say अगर आप मास्टर्स एक यूएस यूनिवर्सिटी में कर सकते हो
जी जी
that
हाँ
would be
यस
great because आपका मास्टर्स एक यूएस और यूरोप यूनिवर्सिटी करने उसका जो सबसे आई थिंक बड़ा बेनिफिट है इज अब आप उस कंट्री में जा सकते हो एंड रह सकते हो, राइट?
बिल्कुल
एग्जैक्टली एंड देन अगेन देन फिर वो नेटवर्किंग का पीस आ जाता है, राइट? सो नाउ अगर आप एक यूएस यूनिवर्सिटी में यूएस में जा रहे हो, नाउ आप लोगों से मिल सकते हो, आप इंटरव्यूज दे सकते हो, फेस टू फेस जो है दैट आपको अब अपॉर्चुनिटीज आपकी बड़ी हो जाएगी, राइट? सो लाइक लॉट ऑफ
जी
पीपल मास्टर्स करने आते हैं यूएस में एंड देन उनको
जी
जॉब मिल जाती है यूएस में एंड देन पिछले 10-20 साल से यूएस में रह रहे हैं, राइट? सो आई थिंक दैट अपॉर्चुनिटीज खुल जाती है। सो आई मीन अगर आपके पास ऑप्शन है डेफिनेटली, बट ऑब्वियसली वो ज़्यादा महंगा भी होता है वर्सेस
हाँ
सर्टिफिकेशन जो आप आसानी से कर सकते हो। सो वही डिपेंड करता है आपको अपने फ्यूचर
सही
गोल्स क्या है, बट या
तो सर्टिफिकेशंस के कौन से ऑप्शन हो सकते हैं फाइनेंशियल
सर्टिफिकेशंस के फाइनेंशियल में नॉट श्योर ऑफ टॉप माइंड, पर I mean, yeah, not sure अगर किसी और को आज अभी वेबिनार में पता है, प्लीज फील फ्री अगेन, लाइक ये होल क्वेश्चंस का पॉइंट है जिनके पास एक्सपीरियंस है और स्टोरीज और इंफॉर्मेशन है, feel free to speak up also, right? Like the more people हम जिससे सीखेगा more useful. So I don't know finance fintech वाला, but um you can use so मैं कहूँगा like जब आप online research करो तो perplexity, right, is an AI tool that uses GPT and all these others behind the scenes, but it
ओके
is amazing at searching. So like अगर आपने नोट किया होगा GPT आपको सर्च करके इंफॉर्मेशन देता है, but Perplexity is focused on amazing search using GPT. So like अगर आप when you're looking for the most recent information, just a certification, I'd say you can also ask Perplexity. But अगर anyone else in the session knows the answer, feel free to speak up.
ओके थैंक यू सर
ओके सर, मैं आप अपना क्वेश्चन कर सकता हूँ।
Hello, is my voice
Hi.
clear?
Yes,
यस
hi,
सर,
Assalamu
आपके
alaikum.
Walaikum salam. I am a teacher here in Pakistan, and I am interested in web development. And I don't know about you, but I'm worried about AI. I see that there are a lot of AI agents in the market, like Replit and Bolt and Lovable, and the people behind it their main aim is to make apps via prompting only.
Yeah.
So if people are going to make apps and web apps by prompting only, then who is going to pay developers for the work that they do? Uh, and also another thing is that most of the jobs on LinkedIn for web development and other software roles, they require a computer science degree. So how a non-tech person who has done a boot camp or a 1 year course on web development would be able to apply for these jobs? Wouldn't he be immediately rejected on the basis of not having a CS degree?
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. Yeah, so आपका मैं सेकंड क्वेश्चन पहले आंसर कर लूंगा फिर फर्स्ट वाला। आपका जो सेकंड क्वेश्चन था वही था, जो नॉन टेक वालों के कंप्यूटर साइंस डिग्री नहीं है वो कैसे compete करेंगे
Yes,
जॉब्स के लिए विद कंप्यूटर साइंस स्टूडेंट्स। मेन चीज़ है एक दो पार्ट होगा। एक पार्ट है दैट आपको ऑब्वियसली प्रूव करना है दैट यू हैव द स्किल्स, बट देन दूसरा पार्ट इज लाइक कंपनीज हायर कैसे करते हैं, राइट? अब आई थिंक मे बी तल और समवन कैन से बेटर इन पाकिस्तान में, बट लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल अगर आप यूएस में अप्लाई कर रहे हो, हर कंपनी is using an applicant tracking system. It's basically automated tool of AI भी use कर रहे हैं to read all the resumes and decide who is the best for this job. And how does it do that? It
yes,
literally looks for keywords, right? So अगर आप job description पढ़ो and आप अगर आप focused to move to a tech role and then read 10, 20, 100 job descriptions and figure out क्या skills चाह रहे हैं and how do they talking about those skills, and then learn the skills and then use the same terminology in your resume, but then also have those projects, right? So you want to have proof, right? Um so basically the idea is like one, you want to have proof that you are as skilled as a computer science degree. And again, a person who just graduated from college with computer science, and then agar aap ho who has 5 projects or apps that you created. I mean, अगर आप employer होते हैं and आप किसी को hire कर रहे हो, who would you prefer, right? Like a computer science student जिसके पास just college projects है, छोटे college वाले projects होते हैं, और ये person who has 5 legit apps, आपने apps को publish किए हुए, so आप अपने website वो आपके app online जाके they can use your app, they'd be like, wow, you made an amazing app, I'm using it. Who would you choose, right? Like the person who created 5 apps or just the student? So that was the aspect that that is how you're going to compete with people who have degrees, right? Is you what is the other proof? Like their degree, उनका CS degree is proof, then आपका proof होगा projects, apps, portfolio. But then again, जब आप apply कर रहे हो, I've learned this, like I've been asked this people research किया. This whole aspect is very, very, very important, especially for US and Europe companies जो है. At least again मुझे पाकिस्तान के companies का इतना नहीं पता, but like वो सब ये applicant tracking system use कर रहे होते हैं. वो basically वो बस keywords को सब resumes में से keywords जिसके पास correct words होंगे, वो रेज्यूमे एक ह्यूमन देखता है, और जो एम्प्लॉयर एक्चुअली इंसान देखता है, एंड वो कीवर्ड्स आप जॉब डिस्क्रिप्शंस में से निकालते हो, राइट? एंड so yeah, again, make projects, make proof, but then also make your resume using the correct, figuring out how their system works
keep
and then using that to your advantage. And then sorry, आपका original
and
question, I think first question था now with the
uh,
Replit and
AI
Bolt and
tools. Yes,
yeah,
Replit,
definitely.
Lovable Dev.
No, definitely. Maybe आजकल वही ज़्यादातर इस्तेमाल कर रहा हूं. I mean, again, I'm not a developer, so I've used those two. Like, um, uh, the people who would pay developers. I mean, I think future में ये होगा. There'll be two type of developers. There'll be the developers who are creating the AI tools, because until maybe 10 years from now where AI is creating AI, who's creating AI, at least for now, you need developers to create AI, and then you need developers who use the AI, right? And I think the biggest one is the second one, right? Like, so now you mentioned Bolt है, Lovable है, Claude Code. By the way, अगर आप लोग को थोड़ा technical experience है, Claude Code is the best coding AI tool, but the people who know how to use it will be the people who get paid, right? Because आपको यूट्यूब पर मैंने आई लर्न दिस द हार्ड वे और लास्ट फ्यू मंथ्स को यूट्यूब पे लोग आपको दिखाएंगे और बोल्ट के साथ आप पूरा ऐप बना लोगे और आप लवेबल के साथ यू मेक दिस या बट unless you know how to use the AI tool well, like आपको आप without giving the AI tool like a product requirements document or a technical specifications document, right? You're telling it very specific uh, you know documents that people use today to give to human developers, right? You have to give that to AI. Otherwise, the AI will make some really useless apps, right? Like if you really try, it's like very not that great unless you know how to use the AI. So आपके answer होगा the people who know how to properly use AI tools to do development will be the people who get paid, and that actually requires I think मैं ये कहूँगा that the developers will eventually all need to be thinking or like product managers and then using AI to do developing. So product managers, boy, yeah, product requirements documents like PRDs. And again, you guys should look this up because if you are using AI tools to create your apps, like you're using GPT, you're using Lovable Board, um, it will own the app it creates will be only as good as the
The
information you give
developer
it, right?
itself.
So yeah, and the information you give it, right? So like the product requirements document, the technical specifications, right? Things like that. So like you have to be smart enough and know how to define what does this app do? What technology is it using, right? Like, is it using Next.js? Is it using React? Am I building this in Python, right? Like, you can't just like let the AI just like, I want this app, and then all of a sudden उसने पता नहीं कौन सा technology stack use किया है और पता नहीं क्या क्या किया है, right? Like, you need to define and tell it, and the people who can make those documents and define exactly what the AI processes the best will be the best developers in the future, right?
Okay,
And
ma'am.
I also want.
Ajit?
Can I have another question?
Sure.
So I also wanted to ask that this year Microsoft laid about yeah, 5,000. I don't know about the number, but
Five,
there
ten
has
thousand.
been layoffs at Microsoft and uh, maybe 10,000. But this year there has been layoffs, and there is a discussion on the internet that this may be due to AI, and if not due to AI, their investment is going towards AI. That is sure. I have watched on YouTube. So, what is your opinion about that? And even if someone has a developer role in a company, then how long will he able to sustain that role until he gets replaced, or the AI is good enough to uh, uh, complete that role with minimal supervision or by a less number of people?
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely agree. I think जो आपने अभी बोला था, how long can he sustain his position? I think अगर like today अगर आप अपनी position को sustain करने की कोशिश कर रहे हो, then आपकी job eliminate हो जाएगी, right? Like that's why आप लोग ये सब चीजें सीख भी like you're learning AI वगैरह because you're sustain करने की बात नहीं है. It's more आपको सोचना होगा, yeah, AI is going to take over jobs. So 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, and 10 year from now, your jobs AI कैसे how is AI going to be put into this? And then you have to evolve yourself, right? And that's what you guys are doing by learning AI right now, right? So for example, I think जो पहला question था, the finance का वो कह रहे थे credit के documents they have to do in the back office, right? I can promise you 5 years from now, that job will be fully AI, right? It's like just you have to make sure documents are perfect before they're submitted. So if you know this is coming, then how do you learn the right things and do the right things so that you are the one using the AI? Because eventually, like someone has to be using the AI, right? Like someone has to be telling it, configuring it, prompting it, setting it up, doing the infrastructure, doing cloud computing to make sure AI is like all over the world, right? Like there's roles that will being created while roles are being, taken away. So you have to think it's not about sustaining, it's about thinking ahead and being ready to like, get yourself in that position because वो I'm sure में भी कह रहा था हर non-tech company will need to use AI. So एक बड़े चीज हो गया that like non-tech companies में usually उनको tech इस्तेमाल करना इतना आता नहीं है, right? Like they literally like उनको पास computer होगा वो Excel sheet कर रहे होंगे पता नहीं small things, but उनको इतना tech के बारे में नहीं पता. Manufacturing, banking, जो भी है, non-tech, they will all need to use AI. So now every non-tech company will need a tech person to use to set up and run the AI for their company, right? So like jobs create bhi ho rahi hai, even though jobs are being taken away, but there are jobs actually going to very be created where every non-tech company needs a tech AI master, right? So you have to just think in the future.
ओके, मैं आशा अपना क्वेश्चन कर सकती
हाँ जी, yeah.
वालेकुम सर, मेरा क्वेश्चन जो है वो रिज्यूमे से रेलिवेंट है. सिंस यू वर टॉकिंग अबाउट लाइक वी शुड ऐड सम कंसाइज इंफॉर्मेशन एंड रेलिवेंट टू द लाइक इफ वी आर टारगेटिंग टू द प्रोफेसर्स, तो हमें क्या उनसे रेलिवेंट चीजें ही अपने रिज्यूमे में ऐड करनी चाहिए? सिंस वी आर एट iCode Guru and our resume is keep on building with the time that we are going to the hackathons and we are learning some new skills. और ऐसा भी होता है समटाइम कि इफ वी आर टॉकिंग विद अ प्रोफेसर और प्रोफेसर का कुछ एक्सपर्टीज या कुछ इंटरेस्ट जो होता है वो किसी और फील्ड में होता है, तो हम क्या करते हैं कि उस चीज को सीखते हैं पहले, फिर उससे रेलिवेंट कोई ना कोई प्रोजेक्ट बनाते हैं और फिर उसको अपने रिज्यूमे में ऐड कर लेते हैं. तो उससे हमारा जो रिज्यूमे होता है वो ज्यादा और एक्सपैंड करता रहता है. मेरा जो रिज्यूमे है वो 2.5 पेजेस पे जो जा रहा होता है, और समटाइम्स मैं भी ये वाली चीज फील करती हूँ कि इट्स टू लॉन्ग, या मुझे लंबा लग रहा है, या पता नहीं प्रोफेसर इस चीज को कितना लाइक रिगार्ड करेगा. तो लेकिन मुझे इस चीज की समझ नहीं आती कि विच पोर्शंस आई डू नॉट नीड टू मेंशन इन माय रिज्यूमे एंड विच पोर्शन आई शुड कीप, क्योंकि हमारी कुछ अचीवमेंट्स होती हैं, टीचिंग एक्सपीरियंस भी होता है, फिर एजुकेशन भी आ जाती है, और फिर हमारी कुछ वॉलंटियर एफर्ट्स भी आ जाते, तो वो एक सेक्शंस बनते जाएंगे, तो फिर रिज्यूमे तो एक्सपैंड करता जाएगा. तो ये क्या सारी चीजें प्रोफेसर को दिखाना लाजमी है, या फिर एक रास्ता ये भी हो सकता है कि हम अपने रिज्यूमे के 2-3 सैंपल्स बना लें कि अगर प्रोफेसर का ये रिसर्च होगी तो हम इसको ये सेंड करेंगे, ये होगी तो ये सेंड करेंगे. इज दिस गुड, या फिर हमें एक ओवरऑल मिक्सचर ही सेंड करना चाहिए? प्लीज इसके बारे में गाइड करें.
नहीं, डेफिनेटली आप ऑलमोस्ट एग्जैक्टली जो आपने अभी एंड पर कहा था, that आप अगर आप डिफरेंट प्रोफेसर आई गेस प्रोफेसर्स का अप्लाई करना और जॉब्स का अप्लाई करना, या अगर आप की एक्सपीरियंस इतनी लंबी है, दैट इज एक्चुअली बहुत अच्छी चीज़ है बिकॉज आपके पास ऑप्शंस है अपना स्पेसिफिक प्रोफेसर और जॉब को दिखाने. मैं आपके लिए आप ये चाह रहे हो अपने हायरिंग में, एंड देयरफॉर मैं आपको ये दे सकता हूँ, राइट? सो आपके ऑप्शंस बहुत है, बट देन या फॉर स्पेसिफिक इस सिचुएशन में ये सोचना चाहिए दैट what are they looking for, and then you create the resume to show them that you are the best for this, right? So then अगर आप 2-3 resumes अगर बना सकते हो, definitely that would be kind of most powerful because आप अगर एक लंबा रेज्यूमे होता है, राइट, इट्स लाइक आप लोग देख रहे होते हैं, बट इट्स लाइक उनको रेज्यूमे का पर्पस ही ये होता है उनको दिखाना दैट जो वो उनको जरूरत है दैट आप प्रोवाइड करोगे, राइट? सो focus on that, right? So अगर आप एक चीज किसी चीज के लिए अप्लाई कर रहे हो जिसमें आपका volunteer experience का कोई फायदा नहीं है उनको बताने, like उनको कोई परवाह नहीं है that you did XYZ because they don't care about it, then take it off the resume, right? For that application, right? Or if you have 10 projects, right? And then आप एक job के लिए apply कर रहे हो, for example, that is very focused on Python and AI development. Well, then अपना जो projects है जिसमें JavaScript or पता नहीं whatever, right? That is not AI development using Python and whatever. Take those out of the resume, right? So that it is focused on what is the purpose, and that again, आप job descriptions or जो भी I guess आपके case में professor का what the professor needs or wants or जो भी जो आप application भेज रहे हो, focus on that and then have different resumes that focus on specific things, right? So hopefully आपका ये question सही से answer है, like but I would agree, like अगर different situations है, I have 2-3 different resumes depending on type of company, type of job, right? And accordingly apply करते हो.
Right, sir. Sir, just a follow-up and general question कि मुझे experience नहीं है like industry का and ना ही job experience है. Like if you are going for industry interview और आप उनको अपना resume दिखा रहे हैं, तो उस resume में आपका अगर let's suppose you have mentioned your teaching experience, तो उसकी कोई worth नहीं होगी.
Like so अगर आप एक specific industry आप I guess आप थोड़ा और specific information दे सकते हो, आप कहाँ apply कर रहे हो and कौन से teachers हम example दे सकते हैं, because
तो जिस तरह से हमने कोई मशीन लर्निंग का कोर्स पढ़ाया है या फिर हम जो है वो जेन एआई पढ़ा रहे हैं, तो वो हमारा एक हमने किया तो टीचिंग ही है ना, लाइक वो उनके लिए वैल्यूएबल होगा कि नहीं होगा अगर हम इंडस्ट्री में जा रहे हैं फॉर द मशीन लर्निंग जॉब और फॉर द एआई जॉब.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, आंसर से पहले कहूँगा आपको यही सोचना है, अगर आप वो एम्प्लॉयर और जिसमें भी आप जो आपको इंटरव्यू कर रहे हो, आपका रेजमे पढ़ रहा है, अगर आप उनके पोजीशन में होते हैं, आपको क्या प्रूव करता है दैट दिस पर्सन इज गुड इनफ, राइट? सो अगर आप एक एआई जॉब और आप कोई whatever, then I would imagine that if you are so good in machine learning that you are teaching people machine learning, that would show that this person is probably smarter than the person who doesn't have the teaching position, right? But then the fact that you have said that you were teaching machine learning is more than enough, right? Like मैंने देखा resumes में ये machine learning का अगर आप course पढ़ा रहे हो लोगों को, you don't have to put half of a page about your teaching. That's one line, right? Like एक छोटी line होगी, like machine learning teacher, professor, educator, जो भी at this place, and that's it, right? Like वो पढ़ेंगे, they'll be like, oh, this guy teaches machine learning, or आप उसके नीचे एक line लिख दो, like I teach 500 students, जो भी, but more than 1 or 2 lines on the teaching is not necessary, right? Like so you don't have to take up, because मैं भी ये कर देता, मेरा resume भी is इतना एकदम लंबा बन गया because मैं बस description like इतना उनको बता रहा था that I was like, नहीं, अगर मैं बस बता दूं I teach machine learning, बाकी तो उनको they're smart enough, उनको पता चल जाएगा बाकी चीजें. So yeah, so that's why it says keep it concise, right? Like अगर आप किसी का resume पढ़ रहे हो, how can you tell the same story in the smallest way possible? And so आपका teaching वाला 2 lines से ज्यादा नहीं होना चाहिए आपके resume पे, but it's useful.
ओके, मैं मानवर अपना क्वेश्चन कर सकता हूँ.
Thank you. Sir, my question was in the beginning, you mentioned that even if someone is not a coding expert, they can still start a career in tech through design or product management. But one thing that confused me is if we have not that much experience in coding. So what do you suggest if we move toward design or management? Should we also have skills that allow us to use AI in those fields as well, or we need to firstly learn about coding or that skills which are very important nowadays?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think सबसे पहले मैं ये कहूँगा, स्पेशली जो लाइक आपने बोला नॉन टेक में, लाइक अगर डिज़ाइन का एक्सपीरियंस है और मैनेजमेंट का एक्सपीरियंस है, बहुत बहुत मुश्किल से लोग मिलते हैं who are have that XYZ experience, design जो भी, and वो टेक वाले होते हैं, like they टेक अंडरस्टैंडिंग होती है, वो इवन थोड़ा सा भी कोड कर सकते हैं, थोड़ा उनको एआई इस्तेमाल करना आता है, एंड दे नॉन टेक एक्सपीरियंस होता है, लाइक अगर आप एक्चुअली अपने कम्युनिटी और अपने सिटी में और दोस्तों और फैमिलीज में देखो, जो सब नॉन टेक में, how many of them actually know how to use AI? Right? Like almost zero, right? So if you have that experience, right? So you आपने design का काम किया हुआ है, और management का जो भी, and आप ये जो अभी सीख रहे हो AI in tech की skills, then आप actually very rare person हो, right? Like you're very rare in that sense. And so it's definitely useful to kind of, जब आप non-tech से tech जा रहे होते हो, to showcase that, हाँ, कंप्यूटर लाइक जो कंप्यूटर साइंस कॉलेज में करते हैं, अमेजिंग कोडर्स होंगे, बट अगर आप वो कोडर को जाके कहोगे मुझे एक फाइनेंस की ऐप बताओ, जाके बनाओ, he doesn't know finance, right? He has no idea कि लोग बैंक में क्या करते हैं, बैंक में ट्रांसफर जब होता है, how does he know what happens when बैंक से बैंक ट्रांसफर होता है, right? Like or whatever, जो फाइनेंस का एग्जांपल लेके, so जो बंदा के पास एक डिजाइन, फाइनेंस, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग जो भी एक्सपीरियंस है, and they learn these skills, then he's the only one who can actually make the best product, right? So I would say, yeah, the whole point is, okay, if you're coming from a non-tech field and you're putting the time लगा रहे हो ये सब AI सीखने, then it's actually you're the best person to do tech in that space, right? No.
Thank you, sir.
ओके सर, नासिर आप अपना क्वेश्चन कर सकते हैं। ओके सर, अलिया अपना क्वेश्चन कर सकते हैं।
अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर।
नहीं, पागल
सर सर साद, एक्चुअली मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि बेसिकली मैं अपना थोड़ा सा इंट्रोडक्शन करवा देता हूँ कि मेरा जो सा है मास्टर्स है नर्स से 2022 में, देन मेरा 3 इयर्स का एक्सपीरियंस था मेडिकल इमेजिंग एआई कंप्यूटर विजन में ना। तो
nice.
3 इयर्स का पाइथन एक एक्सपीरियंस था। खैर जब मैंने स्टार्ट किया था तब चैट जीपीटी तो नहीं था, बट उसके बाद चैट जीपीटी आने के बाद डे टू डे प्रोसेस और टीम को मैनेज करने में ही मैं बिजी रहा, तो मेरी कोडिंग फोकस जो है ना वो थोड़ा सा हट चुका था। बट लीड कोड स्टार्ट किया था, सो वो जो सा है एक तरह से उस तरह से स्किल सेट मेंटेन नहीं रहा कोडिंग वाला, राइट। तो उसके बाद जो सा है अभी तो मैंने जॉब लीव की है, क्योंकि मैं कमिंग वीक में यूएस में लैंड करने वाला हूँ एज एन इमिग्रेंट। तो
Nice.
आई एम जस्ट वरीड अबाउट के नेक्स्ट जो जॉब हंटिंग है, क्योंकि ये एक मेरे लिए एक नया एक्सपीरियंस होगा, मतलब री लर्निंग दोबारा से री लर्न करना पड़ेगा काफ़ी कुछ। तो लिंक्डइन पे जब मैं जाता हूँ देखता हूँ न्यूयॉर्क एरिया बॉस्टन के अंदर जॉब्स आती हैं, देन विद इन 2-3 आवर्स अराउंड 50 एप्लीकेंट्स आ जाते हैं, और कुछ टाइम के बाद जो है ना अराउंड 500 एप्लीकेंट्स तक भी बात चली जाती है। तो कंपटीशन सीम्स क्वाइट हार्डर देन लाइक इन पाकिस्तान, राइट। तो मेरे लिए क्या एक प्लान होना चाहिए। एक तो मैंने आपका ये देखा है कि नेटवर्किंग पे फोकस, आई एग्री कि आई विल मतलब 1 महीने में 3 जो से नेटवर्किंग इवेंट्स ज्वाइन करने हैं, एंड अपने गिटहब को इम्प्रूव करना है। उसके अलावा और कोई मतलब स्पेसिफिक कोई मेरे यूज़ केस से रिलेटेड आप कुछ एडवाइस करना चाहेंगे मुझे यूएस में लैंड करते ही, क्या आप किस चीज़ पे फोकस करना चाहिए?
आसान है। um, ये डेफिनेटली करूंगा यार, यूएस में जो है वो आजकल डेफिनेटली कंपटीशन इंटेंस होएगा, ले ऑफ्स बहुत सारे हो रहे हैं, जॉब्स भी कम हो गई, सो कंपटीशन इंटेंस होगा। फिर मैं कहूँगा आप, आई गेस मैं ये पूछूंगा आपका अभी फोकस क्या है, लाइक आप कौन से एरिया या कौन से टाइप ऑफ जॉब के लिए अप्लाई करने की कोशिश कर रहे हो, क्योंकि आपको वो क्लैरिटी चाहिए होगी, सो दैट ना ऑप्टिमाइज कर सकते हो पूरा प्रोसेस टू गेट दैट गोल। सो लाइक आपका आपने मेंशन किया था आपका प्रीवियस एक्सपीरियंस, पर आप करना क्या चाह रहे हो वंस यू लैंड इन यूएस?
AI प्रोडक्ट डेवलपमेंट इन पाइथन यूजिंग कंप्यूटर विजन में भी हो जाए, क्योंकि मेड टेक में मेरा एक्सपीरियंस है। तो आई बिलीव आई कैन लर्न अबाउट फिनटेक या एड टेक के अंदर भी जा सकता हूँ, बट अगेन कोई भी इस बेस पे तो जॉब नहीं देता ना कि लाइक यू वी कैन हायर यू एंड आप लर्न करके हमें सर्व कर देना। सो दिस इज समथिंग हॉरिबल फॉर मी कि हाउ कैन
नहीं,
आई
एक्चुअली
एंटर इनटू द इंडस्ट्री।
no, it makes sense. And then honestly, ये कहूँगा AI medtech एक area that is ab- about to explode, right? like बहुत बड़ा होने वाला है, and the reason is medical imaging and medical aspect में obviously आप एक AI hallucination नहीं कर सकते, right? Like कोई AI medical scans देख रहे हैं, hallucinate कर रहे हैं, किसी को गलत medical advice दे रहे हैं, so it is being worked on, and it is like उसमें बहुत पैसे जा रहे हैं, and अभी तक explored and बड़ा नहीं हुआ है, right? So if you have this medical experience, medical computer vision experience in the past, then I would say definitely put a focus on that for sure. Like maybe आप जब आप ये hackathons and जो भी आप कर रहे हो अभी आजकल, if you maybe create projects in that aspect also, right? So आप कोई थोड़ा medical projects or just doing scans or जो भी whatever it is, and online data sets बहुत होते हैं, right? So like you can use whatever available medical data जो होती है, so that जब आप अब apply कर रहे होगे, you have your medical experience, which is very key, and then now you're showing that I have created things that you know uh, uh, are useful, provide value, or jo bhi within the medical space using AI. um, that is actually very powerful, because I mean honestly, सोचो जो कंप्यूटर साइंस में जिसने डिग्री भी की है उसको मेडिकल के बारे में क्या पता है, राइट? जिसने अमेजिंग कंप्यूटर साइंस डिग्री बड़ी यूनिवर्सिटी से की है, उसको मेडिकल स्पेस के बारे में कुछ भी नहीं पता, राइट? सो वर्सेस यू जो आपके पास बहुत एक्सपीरियंस है मेडिकल स्पेस में, एंड आपको एआई बनाना आता है, देन you are more powerful than just some coder who has no medical experience, right? So and honestly that's the key piece जो है non-tech से tech में जाने की, जो आपका experience है non-tech में, almost no developer or computer science student has that knowledge, right? And so if you can get that little bit of AI coding knowledge, now there's no one like you, right? So मैं ये कहूँगा, especially obviously आप US move हो रहे हो, आपका intense time होगा, like job bigger, so थोड़े maybe 1 to 3, I'd say 2 to 3 job focuses पे focus करो. So like again जैसे किसी ने अभी पूछा था 2 to 3 resumes, तो आप एक resume definitely बनाना focused on proving that you are the best med tech AI person, right? Because you have medical experience, you have some good knowledge about not only computer vision. किसी ने PhD किया होगा computer vision में, पर उनको medical scans and MRIs and CT scans का कोई भी idea है? No, right? So one probably resume focused on that and apply to jobs there. And then ignore resume on more of a different focus, right? So आपका अगर computer vision में आपका experience है, then think about I guess आपका New York and Boston, so उन areas में कौन से companies industries है जो computer vision इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं, and and then make a computer vision AI resume, right? So that now you have a very strong medical AI resume, and then you have a strong computer vision resume, and then maybe a third one, जो भी आपके skills, या पर आपको idea आ रहा होगा मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ, but and then apply using different, resumes, apply to all the medical AI companies with your medical AI resume, apply to all the computer vision companies with your computer vision resume, and then maybe a third resume जो भी आप आपका focus area होगा. But start thinking again, like the skills क्या थे, what experience आपका है, and then now that you have AI experience or knowledge, then apply to those places where you're obviously better than the computer science student who has no idea about the non-tech.
Right, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir, अली आप अपना क्वेश्चन कर सकते हैं.
Assalamu alaikum. Am I audible?
हाँ जी, बात कर सकते हैं.
Yes.
Sir Saad, thank you so much for this amazing session. It was really informative. First of all, let me tell you that I have completed my bachelor's in accounting and finance, and now my goal and aim is to integrate my field with the AI. And I am a bit confused that how should I do that. And secondly, I am planning to start my master's, and I'm also confused that in which program I should go. Like should I go in fintech, or should I go for business analytics, or should I go for data analytics? So or data science. I am confused in which kind of field I should choose. So that will help me to build up my profile. And my second question is that in which kind of field I will easily get the scholarship in US. Can I get that in fintech, or in like masters in finance or PhD in finance? Should I go for that, or should I go for the technical field? And which technical roles will be most demanding in US in next coming years? Can you guide me? Thank you so much.
Hey, no, it makes sense. I guess the second के साथ जल्दी से शुरू कर लूंगा that scholarships के बारे में मुझे इतना नहीं पता, so मैं recommend करूंगा. I think iCode Guru and Park Angels वगैरह में probably amazing resources and लोग हैं जो आपको scholarships में ज़्यादा सही से direct कर सकते हैं. So I would recommend उनसे बात करना scholarships में. But जो आपका last question था, जो आप क्या किस चीज पे फोकस कर सकते हो तो अपने फ्यूचर के लिए प्रिपेयर करने के लिए, ये कहूँगा डेफिनेटली फिनटेक इज अ वेरी अपकमिंग स्पेस where जिसमें बहुत ज्यादा एआई इनोवेशन हो सकती है, बिकॉज अभी एआई का जो ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन हो रहा है नॉन टेक में, एंड दैट्स व्हाई मेन चीज है जो नॉन टेक टू टेक आप लोग बहुत पावरफुल हो, बिकॉज अगर आपके पास नॉन टेक एक्सपीरियंस है देन जो ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन अभी शुरू हो रही है, राइट? लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल आपके अकाउंटिंग एंड फाइनेंस आजकल मोस्ट फाइनेंस और फाइनेंशियल इंडस्ट्री कंपनीज और ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में कितना काम is actually being done by AI, not very small, right? And because it's finance, medical, थोड़ी industries होती है जिसमें you AI को implement नहीं कर सकते जब तक it's not good and smart enough, right? Because it's very sensitive चीजें हो रही होती है, right? लोगों के bank accounts, लोगों की accounting, लोगों की medical record, जो भी. So I think fintech, if you have that experience and then AI भी सीख रहे हो, it's very, very strong. So that you can start to innovate in those aspects, right? So definitely recommend करूँगा. And so आपके masters का जो question था, data analytics, data science जो है is probably one of the first. Very soon AI is going to take over, right? Like, I mean, data analytics is, I mean, AI is doing data analytics, right? It's like that job is going to be pretty much gone, right? It'll be the people using AI to do data analytics, but there will be nobody doing data analytics in like 3 years, right? Like, because why would you have a human doing it when you can have AI, right? So, but again, that's just like anyone who knows AI can do data analytics using AI. So I would not recommend doing data analytics for science. But yeah, like I would just say, yeah, fintech or the leveraging, like if you know accounting, you know how accounting companies or firms work, you know how there's like all these manual like finance is like I think like an area where like there's a lot of manual process that has to happen, right? Like people are checking documents. There's what a lot of like I don't know finance companies that well, but I know there's a lot of steps, manual processes, and I mean there's accounting, there's investment firms, there's like also different types that are just waiting for AI to take over, right? And so I would definitely recommend if you have that knowledge and experience that you could focus on that. Um, yeah, and especially I guess you're applying for masters, but different countries are so different, right? Like US has some stuff, but then maybe you realize that somebody did something in the US that's fintech, but it's not in Pakistan yet. So why not be the person who creates it in Pakistan, right? Like what the amazing thing about this whole like AI transformation is like you can copy paste, not like literally copy, but like you can copy the idea into different countries that just don't have it yet, right? And so, and again, it can only be done by the person who knows finance and AI, and there's not many people. Yeah.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much.
अब सर यहाँ से आप अपना क्वेश्चन कर सकते हैं.
Assalamualaikum.
Sam.
Thanks to everyone for the such interactive session today. अच्छा क्वेश्चन मेरा ये था कि right now I'm very currently the interested to pursuing my masters in abroad in business intelligence and related field, but right now I'm kind of confused and thinking a lot regarding my time and regarding my career. So व्हाट शुड आई डू, आई मीन कि अगर मैं यहाँ पाकिस्तान में होकर चीज़ें सीखूं ऑनलाइन एंड ऑफलाइन and then directly I apply for maybe US, Germany or any European country for the job, or should I go for the masters first, then I should go for apply for the any job?
And I guess आपकी सिचुएशन समझ आ गई थी, पर I guess आपकी कंफ्यूजन क्या हो रही है? आपकी कंफ्यूजन हो रही है that आपको पहले मास्टर्स करना चाहिए और सीधा जॉब पर अप्लाई करना चाहिए, ये है?
एग्जैक्टली क्योंकि मैं टाइम में भी वेस्ट तो नहीं हो रहा मेरा, मतलब मैं अभी डायरेक्शन मेरी सही जा रही नहीं जा रही, एक किस्म की मुझे करियर काउंसलिंग की जो है ना यहाँ पे मुझे सजेशन चाहिए.
Got it. I mean, I think it honestly depend करता है on जब मैं like master's or like अपने bachelor university के बाद जो education होती है, like masters or MBA जो भी whatever, the जिस तरीके से मैं सोचता हूँ is like वो masters और जो भी करने का क्यों कर रहा हूँ, right? Like I guess आपको confusion हो रही है, right? So like आपको actually define definition लिखना चाहिए अपने life के लिए, like your own life, that masters करके क्या मिलेगा आपको, right? Like obviously बहुत सारी चीजें, but versus अगर आप अभी जॉब ज्वाइन करो then आपके क्या फ्यूचर होगी, right? And so that way आपको actually define करना चाहिए, right? So like confusion इसमें आती है, right? Like आप अपने एक very analytical specific definition नहीं लिखी है, but masters करके मुझे क्या मिलेगा, सीधा जॉब जाके मुझे क्या मिलेगा, राइट? एंड देन जब आपको पूरे डेफिनेशन पेपर पे लिख के आप देख रहे होगे, हो सकता है आपको ज्यादा थोड़ा अंडरस्टैंडिंग क्लैरिटी नजर आएगी, like, अच्छा ऑब्वियसली इसमें मुझे मे बी मुझे यूनिवर्सिटी एक जर्मनी और यूएस में मास्टर्स मिला है, नाउ मैं उस कंट्री में लिव कर रहा हूँ, नाउ आई कैन फाइंड जॉब्स देयर, सो उसका ये बेनिफिट ये होगा दैट now companies in एक्स जो भी कंट्री में आप मास्टर्स कर रहे हो, will trust me more, now I can live there. उसका ये बेनिफिट है. जॉब सीधा पर जाओगे, दैट मीन्स आप एक्सपीरियंस ले रहे होगे, यू अंडरस्टैंड, आपके कोई आप में भी कनेक्शन है जो भी, लाइक देन यू कैन सी, लाइक देन आप सोचो मुझे 5-10 साल में what do I want from my life, and then you can see which one will get you to what you want from your life, right? um yeah, because I understand, I think आपको थोड़ा bit define करना होगा, like what do you want 5-10 years in your own life, and then defining each option very specifically on what is the point, purpose, result you would get from job versus masters. And I think आपको खुद ही समझ आ जाएगी that, should you do masters or should you just, go to work.
ओके, मतलब एक किस्म का वेटेज करूं ऑन द आई शुड राइट ऑन द पेपर एंड डू द वेटेज,
Weightage, and
लाइक
also
फॉर
like for example मैं पूछूंगा like आपको masters क्यों करना है? Why would you go to masters and इतने पैसे डाल के
बिकॉज
वगैरह, like Mhm.
या बिकॉज मेरी जो बैचलर्स है ना, वो डायरेक्टली अगर मैं परस्यू करना चाह रहा हूँ कोई अपना इनकमिंग अगर किसी जॉब प्लेसमेंट में, तो वो उससे डायरेक्ट रिलेट नहीं करती, दैट्स व्हाई.
आप अगर मास्टर्स करोगे आपको जॉब समझ नहीं आया, सॉरी, जॉब प्लेसमेंट क्या होगा आपका?
मैंने ये अर्ज किया कि जो मेरा बैचलर्स है ना, वो जो मैं
हम्म।
प्लेसमेंट के लिए जाऊंगा ना, अगर बिजनेस इंटेलिजेंस एंड डेटा इंटेलिजेंस की जॉब के लिए, तो उससे डायरेक्ट मेरी जो फील्ड है ना बैचलर्स की, वो डायरेक्ट रिलेट नहीं करती, दैट्स व्हाई आई एम डूइंग मास्टर्स.
Got it. Okay. So that फिर then sound करता है आपको मास्टर्स इसलिए करना है because जो आपको career चाहिए आपका bachelor's is not able to do for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then that is I guess the main thing about your master's, then, right? That it is going to get the career that you want to get into, right? Versus अगर आप सीधा job पर जाओगे, then then दूसरा question ये होगा, like this is why I say, like, ask yourself, why would you not do masters and just go to work directly? What is the benefit for you there?
बेसिकली अगर यही था कि पाकिस्तान में रहकर अगर मैं कुछ कोर्सेज वगैरह करूं एंड देन गो फॉर द जॉब, तो वो सही रहेगा, या फिर मास्टर्स करके ही जाऊं, क्योंकि वो मास्टर्स का अलग एक्सपोजर होगा, मे बी द कनेक्शंस एंड द वर्किंग एनवायरनमेंट एंड मे बी द अदर थिंग्स अ लॉट,
Makes
दिस
sense.
काइंड
I
ऑफ
mean,
वेरी.
yeah, and it makes sense. So it sounds like आपको एक specific career चाहिए and आपको figure out अगर आप सीधा काम पर जाओ versus masters. And I mean, what you did, and again, it's probably someone from my core group who's more like knows, like, that kind of development. But what was it like, if you did directly go to work, okay, chances क्या to get the job that you want, आपका टाइम कितनी देर लगेगी, right? अगर if you go to work directly and आपको 5 साल लगेंगे to get to the actual career आपको that you want, versus अगर आप
एक्चुअली
masters करके 2 साल में कर सकते हो, then you have to define करना होगा, right? Like you have to, there's no point in making decisions without knowing exactly. जैसे एक company decisions लेते हैं, हम लोग इस business को खरीदेंगे और जो भी उनके पास numbers होते हैं, right? Like ये you have to अपने life के लिए भी आपको ये करना होगा, like each one you have to define in numbers, right? Like specific data, like what is each one, and then obviously the बाकी तो आपको confusion उसी से usually solve हो जाती है. But again, I'm professional career advisor now, so there's probably people who have a lot of experience, and maybe again, like, I don't like these type of questions is all about different stories, different experiences. So, ma'am, आपको अपना वो बता रहा हूँ, but keep asking, experienced, educated people, and I think आपको जितना understanding आएगी, maybe आपको खुद ही answer आ जाएगा.
थैंक यू, थैंक यू सो मच.
किसी को और कोई क्वेश्चन है तो काइंडली अपने हैंड रेज कीजिए, और सर आसमान पे भी है कि अगर किसी को आए के बारे से या फिर स्कॉलरशिप के बारे से पूछना है तो सर आसमान है, वेलकम टू सर. ओके,
Sir Saad, thank you so much for giving your time to the participants. Thank you so much for guiding them in for their futures. और आपने बहुत अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन किया कि आप किस तरह, कोई भी एक नॉन टेक्निकल पर्सन किस तरह अपनी सीवी वगैरह, रिज्यूमे वगैरह, अपनी ग्लोबल प्रेजेंस कैसे क्रिएट कर सकता है ताकि वो
नहीं
अपनी नॉन टेक्निकल फील्ड को इनटू टेक्निकल फील्ड के अंदर शिफ्ट कर सके। और
नहीं
आपने
नहीं
बहुत
डेफिनेट
अच्छे से गाइडेंस किया दी पार्टिसिपेंट्स को। थैंक यू सो मच सर, थैंक यू सो मच।
हाँ नहीं थैंक यू। मैं यही एंड में कहूँगा, आई थिंक आजकल जो एआई के साथ जो चेंजेस इन योर रेवोल्यूशन, जो एआई के साथ चेंजेस हो रही है, हर नॉन टेक्निकल कंपनी इंडस्ट्री को एआई इस्तेमाल करना होगा। सो अगर आपके पास नॉन टेक्निकल एक्सपीरियंस है, पहली दफा इन हिस्ट्री में, यू कैन यूज थोड़ा टेक सीख के पूरा अपना इंडस्ट्री चेंज कर सकते हो, राइट? फाइनेंस, अगर आपको बहुत अच्छी तरीके नॉन टेक्निकल एक्सपीरियंस है, यू कैन क्रिएट एआई फिनटेक फाइनेंस बिकॉज यू नो दैट। मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, टीचिंग, जो लाइक गवर्नमेंट, जो भी आपके नॉन टेक एक्सपीरियंस है, um, you are the person who knows the non-tech so well that you can be the person who creates AI in the non-tech space. And then obviously have normal jobs be kar sakte, but I think pehli dafa history mein that you can, regardless of any non-tech experience or field, ab you can be the person the next, jo badi company bana sakta hai because you put AI into finance, tech, manufacturing, jo bhi, right? And so definitely कहूँगा, अपना नॉन टेक एक्सपीरियंस को डेफिनेटली वैल्यू करो because you with AI, with your non-tech experience, you are very, very rare and special. Yeah. So thank you. Assalamu alaikum and thank you very much, guys.
Exactly sir. Thank you so much sir for guiding.
Hey,
Thank
hey,
you
Khuda
everyone
Hafiz.
for
Assalamu alaikum.
joining the webinar. सर डॉक्टर रिजवान हमारे साथ हैं। सर अगर आप कुछ ऐड करना चाहें वेबिनार में एट द एंड। Okay, I think sir is the side पे। Okay, thank you everyone for joining the webinar. इंशाल्लाह हम ऐसे मजीद वेबिनार लेके आते रहेंगे। हम सर साथ को लाजमी दोबारा बुलाएंगे कि आके मजीद गाइडेंस दें हमें। थैंक यू एवरीवन फॉर ज्वाइनिंग। अल्लाह हाफिज एवरीवन। अल्लाह हाफिज सर साथ।
Hey, Khuda Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you.